start our session today, would have a presentation on source apportionment and air quality assessment of PM 2.5 and PM 10 at two different sites in urban background area in Dakar. And to have that presentation for us, we have Dr. Alassane Traoré from Cheikh Anta Diop University, Senegal. Please put your hands together for Dr.
Okay, good morning, everyone. So I'm very pleased to be here, and within this last 3 days, I have learned a lot, and I decided to yesterday night to change my presentation to share knowledge about what we have done so far in my country, and try to see how we can use the data we are gathering on our server and for within different type of study, and how we can use this data to help our policymakers to change the way that our country is being to be for a couple of years, and to change the way that we are using transportation in our big capitals. So regarding the let's say the poster for Afri-SET, we can see different type of bullet, but there is one missing bullet, is how we can use the data for policymakers. So I'm going to try to let's say to add one more bullet here, and to see what we can do with our data, because we are not going to characterize, to make some kind of let's say select data, to save data in our server, to pay for that without going to change this data like an economical system. So in Dakar, we perform some measurement in a couple of, let's say, 10 years, last 10 years, and we were able to convince the government to change the way that people are, let's say, moving around the capital by using public transportation, and also to have the chance to make a choice about which system they're going to use to go work, and in which time they will need to let's say to reach back at home. So to do so, we think source apportionment can be a good asset to tackle this problem. And for this matter, we have heard yesterday from Dr. Allison that if you want to do source apportionment, you need to have what we call evidence. Evidence mean what? Evidence mean you need to know what you are looking for, what is the features of the systems, and try to target these systems. So we start by saying that if you want to know where your pollution is coming from, you need to singularize different type of sources depending on what you have in your country. So here you have different type of sources. Heavy oil combustion, because Senegal, Dakar is a coastal area town, and we are facing the impact of Sahara dust. We are all living in the capital. I don't know why, because we have 550 kilometers square, and we have more than 5 million people living in Dakar. So we are so crowded, and a lot of traffic jams starting 5 a.m. early in the morning up to 10 p.m. during night. So there is a kind of biomass burning due to let's say to some trash, but also we have common use in our country. We are using what we call incense. So people are used to have fire. They put some kind of incense just for the smiling good at home. So we are using a lot incense because it's a kind of cultural matter. And there is vehicle exhaust due to let's say traffic jams. So we give some parameters to all these sources and to try to see what could be the impact of all these parameters relate to the contribution of these sources, depending of the waging, depending of different parameters, depending of the environmental, how we can identify the let's say the main source of the pollutant in Dakar. So we decide for this presentation just to select two different type of neighboring, let's say, town, Ashlem and Yoff, and why we are choosing these two types, because this one is coastal area and this one is peri-urban and industrial area. So it was at the beginning just industrial area, but by time people are living around the industry plant. So we would like to see what could be the features of these two, and why we choose these two, because there is a very big let's say highway reaching these two and passing by, going to the downtown. So we want to know, what is it possible to keep it like this, or we need to change definitely the highway to the next place. And it was a very let's say engaging project, and it was our duty as researcher to convince the government that it was possible to keep the highway, but to change which type of transportation we are going to use, because it's always cars with more than 25 years old, and it's difficult to say people which are on the developing country to buy new car, or to buy, let's say, car with less than 5 years old. So what we do, we will see later on. We have some couple of let's say data and some achievement during this process. So to do such apportionment, we need to have a good sampling methodology. And for this good sampling methodology, it is about how we can do, let's say, differences between PM2.5 and PM10, and to see on the filter of PM10 or PM2.5 what we can find, because depending of the parameter you are looking for, this parameter is really willing to be on PM2.5 filter or PM10 micrometer filter. So you need to collect exactly what you need to have in order to later on do the chemical analysis and let's say X-ray fluorescence analysis. So we have what we call dichotomous sampling. I think Ghanaian people know this one because we all built our own in 2007. It was with the help of the International Atomic Energy Agency, and with this we were able to make choice first to the type of filter. It was a polycarbonate nucleopore filter. We can use it for measuring chemical, let's say, parameters, or just heavy metal surrounded the particulate matter. So there is another type of techniques which are using what we call impactor cascade, and with this it's similarly that my my colleague, I think it was James, show us yesterday about the bin 0 to bin 6. It's a kind of aerodynamic particles within a range, and we will collect all the particles by using impactor cascade, and we know the let's say the convection of its particles, and the let's say the diameter of the particles relate to diffusion mi, and from that we collect all particles in such a way to do what we call separation between diameter, and for each filter here we process for the analysis. And before doing the analysis, we need to wait all blank filter before doing our deployment on site, and after that we bring all the sample. We do what we call stability for 48 hours, and after 48 hours we need to process by weighing our filter and to strive from this the difference of mass, and with the difference of mass we are using pump, rotator, and what we call debimeter, we were able to measure what Alison say gravimetry. So gravimetry is a kind of concentration based to mass and volume, and from that we were able to collect more than, let's say, 1,500 filters within the range of 5 years. So at which period we need to collect the sample? We decide to see the impact of, let's say, day work and weekend, and we decide to have 2-day works in Yoff and 2-day work in Ashlem, and weekend as well, 1 weekend for Yoff and 1 weekend, weekend for Yoff and 1 weekend for Ashlem, just to cover the whole week what could be the activity and how this activity is impacting to the air quality. So by using this source apportionment, the aim is to reduce the concentration mass of PM, and to reduce this we need to make a kind of let's say we need to target the most impacting medium, which is urban environment, and with urban environment we decide to develop our methodology, and with this methodology we have characterized our filter based on 5 different type of techniques, let's say spectroscopy techniques and chemical separation techniques. So with these techniques we were able to see how in practice we can reach source pollution, and how we can use this data to enhance our knowledge related to the, let's say, to the counting of mass, particulate matter mass, and how we can do quantitative impact of ambient air, refer to source apportionment. So we already know from the previous presentation we can use different type of model, starting by emission inventory model up to the receptor model. And for us it was about using chemical transport model combined with receptor model and emission inventory model. We combine all these techniques during this study in order to characterize better our filter by using first what we call proton-induced X-ray emission combined with energy dispersive X-ray fluorescence. These 2 techniques allow us to let's say to quantify a certain number of metals which are part of the particulate matter we have collect, and also to do what we call quality control and quality management system, because in the lab we have what we call micrometer standards for air pollution. Donc we have around 22 micrometer standards, which on top of each filter you will have a micrometer of sodium within a surface of 11.92 square centimeter, and for that concentration you measure the filter and you correct what you got here in this measurement. So it's a kind of quality control based on quality assurance system it's common to the analysis laboratory, and for each filter you need to strive all this concentration in the good way and to evaluate the uncertainty in such a way that you can validate or let's say remove the concentration you have got based on the signal ratio to signal noise to ratio. So once you have characterized your filter, you need to go to the nitrate and sulfate, because for each filter you only have 21 days to analyze them for nitrate and sulfate, because they are evaporated after 20 days. So you cannot keep the filter more than 20 days, because you will lose in terms of concentration related to nitrate or sulfate, because we need this concentration to know if there is any kind of secondary process or environmental let's say impact during the collect. So I just show these two, let's say, data. We were working with, I think, almost 11 countries during the same period to see in the same period within Africa how we can assess the, let's say, the complexity of getting air mass to one sampling point. And I think you can see for Senegal, Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana is somewhere. Yes, Ghana, Burkina Faso, Algeria all joined the project, and we collect sample in the same way with the, let's say with almost the same instrument, and do analysis with what we call X-ray emission or accelerator particles or proton induced X-ray or spectro absorption atomic techniques. So once we did all this information, we can see how difficult it is to assess air quality management or air quality analysis within our countries, and to know the source of carbon monoxide, we use the techniques which was validated by the European Commission, which is called MABIT. It's a wavelength techniques. We use 7 wavelengths to measure the potential sources of carbon monoxide, depending on which type of filter, PM2.5 or PM10, we have collect. And from this instrument, we were able to add carbon monoxide concentration on the file where you will see later. So for positive matrix factor analysis, as we already know, we will process with principal component analysis, which is a characterization process, and from that we do our exploratory factor analysis model to see what is the weight of each factor. We have seen it yesterday, and for each factor, why we decide to use the factor depending of others factor. So for this, we were able to start by doing some characterization. As you can see here, we need to know the elemental carbon, the organic carbon, and some metals in top of that, we also need to know, let's say, some ion and cation relate to the secondary phase, and to see the impact of sea salt or no sea salt, we need to analyze potassium and potassium ion in order to see what could be the impact of the sea related to the pollution in the country. So people yesterday say we can use Excel, but you can see it's difficult to use Excel and to try to get back with the right information and methodology to work with this data. So it's better to use some kind of open air model. We use open air to try to see the number of characteristic factors, and from this characteristic factor we were able to define which type of sources are contribute more to the air quality in Dakar. And just to summarize, you can see mineral dust was around 45%, sea salt with secondary sulfate 8%, traffic emission 20%, industry emission 7%. So what we did, we see mineral dust and the traffic emission is around 65%. We decide not to see people we are polluted from these two sources, but we need to act. And how we can act is to try to see the mineral dust we got from all, let's say, PM10 filters. We try to analyze them and to see really if this concentration is related to Sahara dust concentration. It was done, and from that we decide to do what we call transboundary, let's say, measurement. For transboundary measurement, we will see later on how we assess this transboundary measurement. And for source profile, we see for mineral dust, which can be the features of mineral dust profile, and for sea salt secondary sulfate, as you can see here. And for traffic and industry emission, all these parameters are affecting the source profile, and it was done within the characterization of each filter we got within these 5 years. And we use trajectory analysis, long range transport. We have seen it yesterday.
Dr. Shari, you have a minute more.
Okay, wonderful. To try to use NOAA high split using the model 4.0, and you can see here for PM2.5 in Senegal and PM10 in Senegal, where these particles come from. PM2.5 is from Mali, and PM10 is from the desert of Sahara regarding the concentration we got. We use this information to help our government to change what we call the felt and coach taxis average, which have average age around 28 years, and to change all highway we have in Dakar, and to decide not to use the same transportation system, but to go to what we call rapid transfer bus, which has electrical and work with a solar system. And this all this information was based what we got during this 5 years measurement. And actually we change all this road based on our results, and the government actually are saving, let's say, emission of CO2 around 300,000 tons per year. So if you have any question, and I think the presentation will be available, so we can talk later. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Let's give him a round of applause. Thank you. So our second presentation is going to be done by Dr. Laurentia Kwating from the Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, Ghana. And she is going to give us a presentation on characterization of occupational exposures using workplace air and environmental condition data. Let's give her a round of applause as she comes to give her presentation. Thank you. You have 20 minutes for your presentation. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Like I said earlier, whether it's Osanya or it's Kwatin, it's still the same person. It's just like Jesus Christ and God the Father, so maintain it like that. Okay, so I'll be taking you through my presentation, which is characterizing occupational exposure, considering workplace air pollutants, as well as temperature and relative humidity. Next slide. Okay, so most people focus on indoor air pollution, and normally it's in the home. But we know that whether it's in the home or a different workspace, both PM as well, particulate matter, which is PM, temperature and relative humidity contributes to some discomfort, some health effects, as well as everyday living conditions. Continuous exposure in this environment would often lead to some existing health impacts worsening or creating new ones as well. Whenever you are in an environment that the particulate matter, the temperature and relative humidity is okay, you realize that people work in comfort. They are also able to work well because their cognizance is working well because everything is okay for them. And then they are also fine. And when that happens, you realize that people are comfortable to do what they must do. When the levels are beyond what is comfortable for people, we increase their risk to some health issues and then other poor occupational outcomes. Why do we need to measure particulate matter, relative humidity, and temperature in our environment? Once we measure them in our workplaces, we are able to tell the hazards that are present in that place. And we also are able to know whether the concentrations in those areas meet the occupational health and safety limits. We also identify exposure patterns because our work patterns change as and when. And then we are also able to implement some appropriate control measures. And so, like I mentioned earlier, most people consider indoor air pollution in the homes and other environments. But some enclosed workplaces like laboratories and offices are often not considered, even though they are very critical, because researchers spend most of their time trying to get some information for innovation as well as public health safety. And so sometimes we feel that we are already keeping some standards that will keep us safe. But when it comes to particulate monitoring, temperature monitoring, sometimes we monitor the equipment like the fridge, the temperature of the fridge and other room, but not the working environment. And our routine activities often expose people to some levels of particulate matter and also alter the temperature and relative humidity in the work environment. And so there's a need to monitor that so that we can better understand the state of the indoor air quality in our work environment. Based on that, this work decided to characterize air quality and environmental conditions in a scientific research institution. The emphasis is a scientific research institution. There are many people who are doing research, but they are not dealing with some equipment because they are not. So this study was in an environment that focuses on scientific research and then evaluates its impacts on workers. So it was CSI has 13 institutes. So out of those 13 institutes, one of the institutes was considered. And then we decided to look at 3 laboratory areas as well as non-laboratory areas because we are all in the same building, but people are in normal offices where they don't do any activity that increases PM as we will assume. And then the sampling was done in July 2005, and we looked at 9 a.m. in the morning to 12 a.m. midnight. And then we used the Atmo tube sampler, and we measured PM 2.5, 10, temperature and relative humidity, even though the information it gives also include VOCs and then PM1. But for this study, we are not focusing on that. And the reading also gave what they call the air quality score, which is based on the particulate matter and the VOC. It has a way of, it's an algorithm, and then it comes up with one single figure, which anybody who looks to can determine whether the air quality they are breathing is good, moderate, polluted, very polluted, or severely polluted based on the value it gives. The data was described, we used t-tests to compare, looking at the laboratory area as well as the non-laboratory areas. And then we also compared the working and non-working hours. And then we used the correlation and regression analysis to determine the relationship between the PM temperature and then relative humidity. Okay, so this is the data that we have. So this is the summary for the whole day. That's from the 9 a.m. to 12 a.m. This is the working hours, which is from 9. We worked from 9 to 4:30, but we ended it at 5. And then we had the non-working hours. Someone will wonder, why will we focus on the working hours? With a research institution, some people start work late in the afternoon and close very late. We have some staff who sometimes even leave around 11 p.m. So there's a need to monitor both to know what is happening in the place. On this particular day, which was the 15th of August, 15th of July, we realized that the concentrations were very high. And this was because the measurement was at a place where the entire staff was having the staff deb, our conference room. So if you observe that, it seems to be different from all the other values we are observing here. And we also realized that the minimum concentration in terms of the average was monitored on the 2nd day of July, and then the highest was on the 16th. So the general observation is that the non-working hours, considering the mean, seem to be higher than the working hours, which raises a lot of questions, because the assumption is that as people are working, there should be higher levels of PM as compared to the non-working hours. But the possible reason could be that ventilation is reduced when we go home. There are less people in that place. Air conditions are turned off. If there are windows that are open, those are closed. And so the air, if there's no proper circulation, that will lead to some dispersion and reduction. That is why we may have higher concentrations of the PM during the non-working hours than the working hours. Okay. In terms of can we say that the difference between the two is significant? We can't just look at this bar graph and conclude so. So using the t-test to compare the working hours and the non-working hours for PM 2.5 and PM 10, we realize that the difference is very significant. So we can't just say that because when you look at them, some look very close, and so you say, oh, there isn't much. But the statistical analysis shows that, and so we have to pay attention. Comparing these values to the Ghana Standard WHO as well as American Conference on Hygiene and then OSHA, we know that the concentrations are below this. But we cannot say that because they are below it, we won't do anything. I will recommend some measures at the end. So this is for temperature and relative humidity. And the same pattern was also observed, that the non-working hours were higher than for the working hours. But comparing it with what globally has been said to be the range for temperature, which is 20 or 18 to 25, we have most of the mean values for the daily exceeding that. And then for temperature, which is also between 30 to 60, we had some of the values exceeding that. And so people are certainly going to be uncomfortable in their workplace, and they will also be prone to some viral infections or other pathogenic infections, because once the relative humidity exceeds 60, that is the risk at which workers in the environment are. And then also comparing, we can say that there are significant difference, which we can see but we confirmed that with the statistics we performed, and that also confirmed it. Okay, comparing the non-laboratory areas to the laboratory areas, looking at this, we see that for PM, the gap is not that wide as compared to the relative humidity. but still we realize that the difference is significant. So the exposure to somebody who is in a laboratory area is higher than that in a non-laboratory area, and to some extent this makes sense. Okay, so this is a correlation graph a summary, a correlation matrix to help us know whether there's some relationship between the parameters that were measured. So we see that PM10 and PM2.5 are correlated greatly or strongly. Probably we can say that then the source are from the same area or the same point. And then when it comes to the temperature and relative humidity, you realize that it's a very negative correlation and is also very minimal in that place. So the temperature and relative humidity may influence the levels of PM 2.5 and 10, but it will reduce it. The same for the regression analysis. That was to help us know whether this actually influenced PM 2.5 and PM 10. So you realize that for every unit increase in temperature, we would have PM decreasing by 4.9 microgram per meter cube, and that was a very significant relation. So it means that in those workplaces, if you're able to balance the temperature and the relative humidity well, we can reduce the PM concentrations. Like I mentioned, the monitor already has some information which we call the air quality score. Someone will ask, why not the air quality index? Someone who has that equipment is not now going to sit down to do calculation. They will make their decisions based on that. And so for an occupational study, we decided to use the information here. So we see that it runs through, when it comes to the daily, we have the different areas being represented here. During the working hours, it looked better than the non-working hours. And that goes to confirm what we observe for the PM, being higher in the non-working periods as compared to the working periods. So what is the impact on workers? Even though the concentrations were measured were below the recommended guidelines, whether for the WHO, Ghana, or the occupational environment, we know that immediate risk is very low when they are working in this very comfortable environment. However, we can't overlook the fact that there can be some subtle health effects over time, especially among sensitive groups or individuals who may have some pre-existing conditions. So to conclude, I would say that this work, the PM levels that were measured were within the guidelines, but then the condition remains, if we maintain those optimal environmental conditions, people can work comfortably and in a very good indoor environment. Nonetheless, we need to continue monitoring to ensure that people are not exposed to higher concentrations later, and that will inform what we do. These are some references. I would want to appreciate my director, Prof. Hughes and Afri-SET. I was able to loan the sampler from them because I don't have one. And also this young lady, she is the motivation for this work. She came to Ghana looking for a place to do an internship by OMIS. And that pushed the two of us to think through to come up with this work. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Did I do well with my time?
Yes.
Thank
you. You even gave us extra time.
So that I can have more questions.
More questions, yes. So we have 2 questions for each presenter. Because snack time is ready, so just 2 questions for each. Before we go for our snack break, we invite Mr. Sharif Abdul Sheikh from Clean Air Liberia Project, United Methodist University, Liberia, to give us a presentation on building Liberia's first air quality monitoring systems, lessons from local census and regional collaborations. With a round of applause, let's invite Mr. Sharif Abdul Sheikh. You have 20 minutes for your presentation. Thank you.
Good morning to everyone again. So I'm going to be speaking about building Liberia first air quality monitoring. And before I move ahead, I would just like to acknowledge our sponsors, our supporters, and well wishers. First, the United Methodist University and the Carbon Markets Authority in Liberia. Most importantly, our funding partner, the Energy Policy Institute at the University of Chicago, who funded this project. And I can be more appreciative to the University of Ghana and if its Afri-SET principal investigator, Professor Addison Hughes, who has been very supportive and instrumental technical wise in making sure our project get the needed attention, but also our colleague here in the room from the Kigali Collaborative Research Center. So we have all of these partners that are supporting the work we do in Monrovia. Before I start the presentation, I just wanted to say that this is a very important milestone for Liberia. And this all started when Dr. Hughes invited me to the first workshop. I'm also the co-chair for the Ocean Acidification Africa Network, which tells a story about how carbon dioxide is absorbed millions of tons every day is absorbed by the ocean that changes the biogeochemistry, affect biodiversity and conservation issues beyond pH, carbonic chemistry, total alkalinity, and all of that. So Dr. Hughes thought that, well, with the work you are doing with thousands of colleagues across the continent, it's going to be interesting for you to also understand how this whole issue about air pollution happens before it even gets to the surface of the ocean. What is the interplay, what happens transboundary wise, and how you can connect and collaborate or partner with other colleagues to understand necessity and the technical issues relating to this. Um, yeah. So the project overview, this is Liberia's first long-term systematic air quality data set. So what the project did is to have data from May 1 to look at the mean on average data from May 1, 2025 to May 1, 2026 and see how the spatial interpretation of the data, especially from PM 2.5, PM 1, PM 10, or the NOx, nitrogen oxides, and also carbon dioxide. There were reasons for the select for these gases because the sensor we use also collect relative humidity, total volatile organic compounds, but we selected these 5 parameters to tell the story about what we are trying to do and how we have heard a lot about how these data translate to policy options, but how Liberia can navigate that means. Since this is the first time we had no pollution monitoring or air monitoring of any kind, this is the very first time. And this is actually a picture of one of the sensors that we installed. So our initial strategy was to install these sensors at the police stations to avoid any form of theft because sometimes people don't understand what these things are. They just want to get it down, then they know what it is, and at the end of the day, they don't use it. So most of those, those are the challenges, especially from Liberia, when we have all of these trending, so-called trending issues. So all of the police stations around Monrovia, if you go there, you currently see our sensor posts. But the interesting thing is, the tricky thing that happened, our sensor, because you see during the presentation some of the technical or operational challenges that we have. So we initially got 8 sensors to start up with, which are all solar powered from air gridding. But unfortunately for us, during the first 2-3 months of our project, 7 of those sensors failed and only 1 worked. This was the first time I started the whole air pollution thing. I was one of the most confused men in Liberia. And every time I would pick up the phone, I called Dr. Hughes, but he's busy. Check, I will call you back. I called Matthias. I called Victoria because, I'm partnering with them. I wanted to understand what was actually going because I had practically no idea. I was speaking with air grading office in Bangkok. Just confused like that. But later on, with all of the patients, especially from Dr. Hughes and our other colleagues, doing the backlogging, trying to see using the USB cable, downloading the data, trying to see how we can assess, what was actually happening inside there. We understood the version 3 boot in that sensor, the solar power one, had a problem. So we recall 7 of them, and quickly to turn things around, because our funds have a timeline to quickly turn things around. What did we do? We ordered 4 sensors that were using other we plug them, not using other, we plug them but using other Wi-Fi or SIM cards at this time around. So those sensors are how to quickly do a pre-deployment assessment to look for suitable areas that had electricity, and for those that had, like the university campus that had electricity, that was fine, that had Wi-Fi, that was fine, but those that didn't have Wi-Fi, I had to get a SIM card to make sure it was. Even point in time we used the MCN SIM card in Liberia, it couldn't work, but all paid for 6 months that I couldn't have to go back. At that time, using my own funding just to close the gap to get the SIM card from Orange to try that, and fortunately for us, that worked. So those were the challenges, but however, we managed after 2 months to close all of these gaps and get all of the sensor back, and we have at least around 11 up now that has been installed. So our data source, of course, we are using the air grading sensors. They have been very supportive. What on 9, 10, 1 o'clock at night, because we have different timeline. We have colleagues there that will always pick up the call, respond to us, keep online, and see how we can fix some of these issues or address some of the challenges. Of course, our partners is very important, like Epic Fund. They have been very instrumental in having this supported, and we just received our funding again, and now we are currently procuring our reference grade monitor. So the assessment process between Dr. Hughes KCRC and the suppliers has just at the end phase, and we'll be expecting quotation for a shipment very, very soon. And not to forget, of course, University of Ghana is everything. I'm a former student or graduate from the university, so always proud to have them on my slides. And the Kigali Collaborative Research Center in Rwanda, they have been helpful. We have Victoria in the house here, who I speak to all of the time. So it's important for me to acknowledge her support and presence. Importantly, from the side of the government, the Carbon Markets Authority is a newly established authority by the President's Office under Executive Order 155 to everything carbon pollution to extend with the EPAs. We have both of them working very closely with us to ensure that this project gets to the next level. And the goal is to translate sensor data into actionable policy evidence. That's why we are moving to the phase of getting the reference monitor. So we start to validate and standardize these data to Liberia's specific circumstances or conditions. So these are the deployments. Sorry, this is not too clear, but it shows all of the different locations. We have the sensors, but before the deployment, as I said, we do a pre-deployment assessment. So we have to do sensitization. We talk to community members, community leadership, and we do that along with people in charge at the Environmental Protection Agency and the Carbon Markets Authority, students and staff from the University of Ghana. So we have a team that we go into the different communities to assess the different conditions, situation, test the network to ensure we are very keen about what works and what doesn't work, so that we close our time frame for errors and things like that. So our sites were based on 4 different criteria based, like institutional. So we have the universities, we have 1 or 2 sensors at the university for several reasons, security reason. We have a Wi-Fi there, and the university is very large. That's the largest private university in Liberia. So we have it at different sides of the area just to tell a story, especially when it comes to co-location and seeing where those disparities are, because we have an anomaly that we talk about in the project that was flagged out from some of these. So we have like government, of course, talk about the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, HQ, the Carbon Market Security, and relevant regulatory bodies. So we have traffic, commercial, high density rural markets. We have some of those sensors there if you see from the deployment. And of course, residential. We have Mamba Point, Crown Hill, Cinco, mixed use areas where the US Embassy is, the European Embassy, the European Commission. So we have sensors in all of those areas so that we have a useful story to tell, since all of this will mean nothing if we cannot translate these to policy options. So what we try to do, this is our first formal presentation to interpret our data. So this is not going to be very elaborate as all of the many presentations are high. And to be honest, I sat here in some of the presentation, I hold my hand and say, wow, come on. And I say error. And by the time I get through correcting my whatsoever comments and this and that, and I look on the board from 12 and Cosmos or James or somebody or Labby, the rest of the guys said they are at 35. So I was complete, but I was patient because I know these things takes time, and these things take time, and I just have to be patient and follow suit and learn. It's a new area, especially for Liberia. I'm patient and committed to make sure I get on track. But it was beautiful to see how much Ghana is doing, how much intelligence and knowledge is in the room, and we are happy to be here. And this is a process. So what we try to do is to have a spatial interpretation comparing the different sites. And we wanted to have a key takeaway to sell to our colleagues and the audience here today. And one of the first thing that we pick up, the highest PM 2.5 was in the Dupo Road, Sokosako area that is both commercial and residential. And it was around 35.1 microgram per cubic meter. The second highest was the Liberia EPA in Mama Point, where the U.S. Embassy, around where the U.S. Embassy and the European Commission. And out of those 5-star hotels, most of those 5-star hotels are located Mama Point, average of 20.8 microgram per cubic meter. And the lowest was Petron Crown Hill and Sad Level Arrow 15.5. But the lowest, I just want to, for transparency's sake, it is not the lowest because there were not a lot of pollution or the recording was accurate or something like that. No. The reason being we have been facing problem with that installation, and we have serious issue with the connectivity, especially for power. So the reading and interpretation is just based on the amount of data this sensor has. So the average is reporting something very feasible and appealing, but it doesn't tell the whole story. But we are going to correct that with future analysis and things like that. So it was also very important. Most of our presenters here, we heard about the WHO guidelines, exceedance guidelines, which is very important. All of the work you do to monitor the PM 2.5, the different gases in the atmosphere, is to ensure that it is convenient for the rest of the public for which we serve, our research serve, for which the government works for which academics support the general good of humanity. So the WHO guidelines, which said, unfortunately, Liberia doesn't have a guideline. I saw, there's WHO guidelines for Ghana and stuff like that. Liberia, no. Hopefully, this work is going to go to the point where we can set up Liberia First Air Pollution Monitoring Standard, facilitate, and goes beyond that over the next many years to come. So hopefully, we are going to get there. So every monitor site exceeds the WHO annual guideline of 5 microgram per cubic meter. 9 of the 11 sites exceed the 24-hour guidelines of 15 micro per cubic meter. This is quite a bit alignment. Although we will have to maybe do this again and see what the next 1 year or next 6 months is, what is going to be consistent with it, and all of the beautiful information that we got from we are going to test that against some of what we have here to verify this. But initially, this is the story that has been told. And the Dupo Road, as you say, the PM 2.5 is 7 times more than the WHO annual guideline, which is a public health alert. So yes, so WHO annual is 5 microgram per cubic meter, or 11 sites a seed, and the rest is 15. Yeah, so WHO 24. So you see the excess here, and I think this is a call for concern for our first analysis for the first 1 year. But hopefully this is going to be tested against several indicators and see whether what we are presenting makes sense or actually meets the right analysis.
You have 5 minutes more.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Yeah, so I just wanted to show that we did a multi-pollutant heat map, which is very important. And the reason I added this, we are looking for the sometime next month to have our first official stakeholder engagement workshop, that some of these will be presented to them. We'll have the National Public Health Institute of Liberia, Ministry of Health, and all of the relevant stakeholders in this domain that meet their concerns. So this heat map is intended to showcase policymakers. Just to understand that if you cannot understand the numbers, you understand the color green, lower level, red higher level, and in between there are some issues to consider, whether alarming or to start maybe picking up. So this is what to do. So if you notice, as I said, I don't know much of the technical operational detail of the air grading monitor, but you see the NOx, the national oxides over there for the EPA mama point is 19,311, when the rest here are 1 to 2. So I highlighted here, there is a quality assurance and quality check outlier detection, which is very, very important. You see the anomaly here that I mentioned, likely causes will be the sensor firmware error, passing bug, or calibration failure, not rare atmospheric NOx level. Absolutely not. So this is something that we need to maybe talk to Afri-SET later. They will help us to investigate, maybe from our sensor, what have you, and see how we can correct this for the long term. I don't know whether this is also the same for the rest. So what are the operational challenges currently in Liberia? Power instability. That is very, very of a big problem. I'm sure not only for Liberia, for the rest of the sub-region. We have connectivity gaps. Internet and Wi-Fi is an issue, but we are trying to work around that. Calibration drift. As I said earlier, we will try to get more information from Afri-SET and speak with them, and also our colleagues from the KCRC. But also field maintenance. Field maintenance can be very, very cost effective. Very, very much. So, I mean, we have to go a lot in the field to check the sensor after storm, rains, and things like that. And most of the time, it is at our expense. So from data to policy, I think this has been the big issue. If we do everything here but data, have all of the beautiful graphs, if this is not translated in the proper and ready manner for policy makers, it is going to be useless. So again, our regional collaboration and roadmap is looking at University of Ghana for supporting what we do in all our work, analytical wise, and capacity building. We have several workshops online, and we are looking at getting some people from Afri-SET to our workshop in Monrovia next month. Of course, our KCRC colleagues cross-country sensor network experience, since they are also working with a lot of stakeholders. OpenAQ has granted us the platform so that our data, are broadcasted. Of course, Epiphone has been very instrumental for the funding side. So yeah, future direction, reference rate integration. We are looking at a green monitor. So hopefully over the next 2 months, we have that in Liberia. And I'm sure Afri-SET, some of our colleagues here will be joining us in Monroe to train us on how to maintain this reference green monitor, but most importantly, how to install it, how to use it, how to manage it, and how to assess it. So automated Q&A, QC, I don't know how that is going to happen, but I'm going to be in conversation with Afri-SET concerning this. Policy update, yes, embed this into EPA and CMA regulatory frameworks. So on this note, I just wanted to say thanks to the rest of the organizer. It's an opportunity to learn so much from you. I get a lot confused since the last 2 days, but it's okay. Confusion is part of life. So thank you, thank you very much.
Welcome back. Participants online, thanks for waiting. We are back, and then we're going to start our presentation right away with Shawil Ade Abimbola, Lagos Metropolitan Area Transport Authority, Nigeria. He is going to talk to us about LAMATA, Pathway to Net Zero. I will invite Mr. Abimbola to come up here and do the presentation for us.
Good afternoon, everyone. Once again, thank you very much for having me here in Ghana. I'm here to present. My name is Abimbola Shawil, an IT professional and a data scientist with Lagos Metropolitan Area Transport Authority, LAMATA. I'm here to present LAMATA Pathway to Net Zero. Summary of my presentation. Overview of LAMATA urban demographic context, overview of Lagos transportation profile, Lagos strategic transport master plan, actions, program, strategic plan, ongoing project, future projection in Lagos transportation sector, sustainable solution for transport in Lagos. So this is overview of Lagos urban and demographic context. Basically, in 1985, we have about 5,900 persons kilometer square. In 2025, it's about 8,500 persons per kilometer square. Source from National Bureau of Statistics. Lagos has about 23 million inhabitants. This is like overview, and projection of about 40 million by 2050. And you can see the urban sprawl. Population was about this size then in 1985, then spread across this area. Overview of transport, Lagos transportation profile. We have the informal sector. From the pie chart, we can see the informal sector takes like precedence. We call them downfalls. They have like 75%. This is as at 2014. Private cars about 19%. Regulated buses 2%. BRT 2%. And trips by road about 97%. Vehicle operating with petrol diesel engine about 85%. Car ownership growing annually about 5%. So basically, this overview of Lagos transportation profile. You can imagine the kind of traffic we have in Lagos, the emission that happens with this. So we had to step in as an agency to actually reduce emission with different strategic innovations. Okay. All right. So we have the Lagos Strategic Transport Master Plan. This is like a Bible for LAMATA. LAMATA's role as an agency is to plan, implement, regulate, and franchise public transportation in Lagos. And this is like a guide for us to implement initiatives to reduce emission and to transform the public transport sector in Lagos State. Lagos Strategic Master Plans aims to develop fully integrated multimodal mass rapid transport system to cover activity centers in Lagos. We plan to have 6 rail lines, 1 monorail, 14 BRT routes, 3 cable cars, and over 20 water routes. Then we plan to also do the bus reform, that's remove all the informal sector or transition from informal sector to regulated buses. That's the bus reform. So basically, as we move on, I will show you where we are. LAMATA's action, programs, and strategic plan. LAMATA's effort towards greenhouse gas emission reduction. First, implementation of Lagos State transport policy and climate action plan towards net zero target by 2050. We will intend to achieve this by implementing the bus reform, as I said, transitioning informal sector into formal sector, and like changing the kind of vehicles, the kind of vehicles, like for instance, we are promoting waste to fuel initiative. Right now we're developing a biogas. We're on this study level, but we are developing a biogas plant where we'll use the methane to power our public transport vehicles. And promotion of development and framework of capturing GHG aerosol emission reduction, scope 1 to 3. Monitoring baseline data emission for public transportation. So this has to do with GHG having a baseline emission, and after our intervention, we compare the baseline with what we have done and see the reduction that's been done. Then air quality monitoring using low cost sensors. We already have about 100 sensors, stationary sensors in different strategic locations in Lagos, and we also have mobile sensors that we use. Was gracefully given to us by the University of Cambridge. We deploy in cabin in our vehicles to read the emission inside the vehicles. So also we are trying to update the STMP, which is the framework in which we develop our initiatives into the Lagos Strategic Transport Mobility Master Plan, which will include the active mobility and non-motorized transportation. Yeah, this is our air quality dashboard, the stationary air quality dashboard. And these are sensors and readings. And also we have some that are gotten from satellite data, while some are from our sensors that were deployed. And this is the dashboard that was developed in-house, and this is the URL to actually access it. Is open, based on the EPIC support funding. We're able to deploy sensors and develop the dashboard. And this is like a snapshot of what it looks like, but you can access it using this URL. And okay, sometime last year, 2025, there was the power boat racing championship that was done in Lagos. This is just an instance of how our sensor works. They had to restrict vehicles around the Victoria Island where the championship was taking place, and these spikes in the graph, this particular one, is when they were test driving, when people were on the bridge with their vehicles, and they were test running the power boats. But as at this period, this is when the championship competition took place, the tournament took place, and there was a policy to restrict vehicle in that area. And this is a reading from our sensor in that area to show that before the event, this was what was happening. Because of the event, people came there with their vehicles so much, and that's why we have this long spike. And during the event, we had all this. Then after the event, it went back to the normal. This is a reading from our sensor in that area. So this is just an instance of how we the results of our sensors, like the readings we get, and we use it as a basis for informed decisions, for policy decisions. And this is the mobile tracking air quality Open Seneca device. I have one here. It was given to us it was developed by University of Cambridge and given to us. And we put it in cabin, like in the vehicles, and we monitor over weeks and see the readings. We develop visualization to see, because it has the memory card in it, and we collect the data after about 3 weeks, and we develop a visualization to read the data. And an example, this is just a snapshot of one of the device. We have about 17 devices. So it shows the green and the red. And so those areas, we had to investigate them and see what's going on and why at that period of time is like that. It has bad air quality. And these are our partners that has been supporting us with capacity building, with funding, with in development of policies and other means to actually get our work done. Ongoing projects. We have our blue line, 27 kilometers. It's already running, but we are working on the second phase currently. And the red line as well is running as well. We have about 6 that we planned to do, but we have 2 running. And the purple line is in the study stage. The construction has not begun, but they've started the ESIA and all that. And also the bus reform, the transition from informal to formal. It will reduce CO2 emission. And of course, we have about 2 e-buses. We have 2 e-buses currently in operation, which reduced about 500,000 kilograms of emission over the period of 3 years. And we have 4 CNG buses in operation since July 2025. Our future projection, after the implementation of STMP, which will believe will be completed by 2032. This is what we would have. The informal transportation would have disappeared from the map, and it would have this is what the pie chart, this is what it would look like, the share of transportation after the full integration or the implementation of STMP. We would have done about 26 kilometers of rail track. That's about 6 rail lines. Then we would have 485 service bus transport roads, including terminals, bus stop, and interchange. Water infrastructure. We're planning for water, but we have an agency that actually implements water, which is called our sister agency called LASWA. And so after we implement STMP, we hope the informal public transport that emits the most would have disappeared from our roads. LAMATA decarbonization pathway. Walking trips account for about 40% total. We hope to develop more walking paths, bicycle lane, park and ride services, then low emission zones, quantify air pollution, real-time measurement of air quality, which we're already doing, but we'll improve on that. Then transition from diesel engine to cleaner fuel, e-buses and CNG, development of biogas plants, and awareness campaign and communication on low carbon mobility. This graph is showing what the emission is as it is now and what it will be by 2032 after we implement the STMP. So the green bar shows the implementation, what the emission will be after the implementation of STMP, while the pink bar is what it is currently. So as we see, the informal sector emits the highest. The downfall buses emit the highest, while the private vehicles follow suit. But at the end of implementation of STMP, we should have 0 because downfall would have disappeared from our roads and it would have become a part of the regulated vehicle. Then that's when this regulated emission would increase a little because downfall would have disappeared. And that will save about 35,000 to 5,000, 3,500 to 5,000 premature deaths. Basically, this is what we are doing to reduce the GHG emission with our initiatives that we are implementing in Lagos. Why partner with LAMATA? LAMATA is delivering Africa's most ambitious urban transportation transition. We have track record in delivering complex urban mobility projects, integrated approach, that strategic transport master plan. We have the water, bus, rail, and stable regulatory framework, decarbonization leadership, investment and partnership opportunities. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Abimbola. Questions for him? 2 questions. Just 2. We'll take 2 questions from participants.
Hello. So my question has to do with the last few slides where you talk about phasing out downforce. I'm presuming downforce is what we call trotro in Accra. And my question has to do with what you feel will be the challenges with actually phasing it out, because in Ghana, when you try to regulate them, even when you try to say to improve their roadworthiness and so on, the unions kick back very, very strongly. So what are some of the challenges you anticipate in trying to phase out these downforce?
Thank you for that question. So everything we do with LAMATA will carry everybody along. That's the union and the stakeholders, basically. So for us to say we are trying to remove downforce and informal sector, it's not like we are making them jobless or not. They will still be in the transport sector, but we'll transition them into formal sector, meaning their bosses would be changed to clean energy buses, and they would formalize their operation and stuff. But the same people are the people that will be transitioned into the formal operation. So at the end of the day, it's just to convince their leadership on what we're about to do. This is not about getting people to lose their job or anything like that, but to transition them to do their job in a better way, and for all of us and for the environment as well. Does that answer your question? Okay. All right.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Prosper, EPA Voter Region. I enjoyed your presentation, but I was thinking, in every new intervention, particularly when you are going into zero net carbon, there should be a policy statement or a regulatory framework underway. So I want to know whether policy-wise there is any policy in place already to help these interventions manifest.
Thank you for the question. So the policy, as you can see here, we have the Lagos Transport Policy and the Climate Action Plan. Basically, this policy is from the highest level in the states that they are trying to pursue. You understand? And all the stakeholders are aware of it. So this is what backs all the initiative that we are trying to achieve, and which covers both transportation, environmental, because transport has to do with emission. So it has the environmental part of it as well. That's the Lagos Transport Policy and Climate Action Plan. Does that answer your question? No, it's transport policy. As you can see, transport policy, transport, meaning for rail, bus is integrated.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you so much, Abimbola. So, regarding the transition for the downfall buses, like what you pointed out, is there a time frame to see this transition? Is there a time frame on ground already for us to maybe, anticipate to see how far this will go?
We have a target of 2032. By 2032, we should have achieved it, meaning that by now we should be on our way, which is happening already. There are negotiations as I'm speaking to you now in the office. There's continuous engagement with all the stakeholders in trying to do that, to implement this transition.
All right. My name is Pascal from the University of Environment and Sustainable Development. Thank you so much for the presentation. I wanted to know why you are focusing on other pollutants other than methane, which is a very potent greenhouse gas. And since Nigeria has a lot of oil, you refine oil there, there is so much oil there. Why aren't you looking at methane too? Or it doesn't affect the you think it doesn't affect the people's lives there, or you don't have much data on it?
Please, can you come again with the question? I'm trying to get you.
Yes, I wanted to know why you are focusing on other pollutants like PM 2.5, PM10, nitrous oxide, and not methane. Or if you captured methane in your slides and I didn't see.
Oh, okay. Methane right now is the biogas plant, the development of a biogas plant. We are trying to extract methane to be able to use it to power public transportation, and not just public transportation, to generate energy. So instead of waste being a burden, waste becomes an asset sort of to us, but we are still in the study phase. That's the only thing we are doing with methane. But in terms of air quality and GHG monitoring, we are looking at all the pollutants that has to do with our environment, and we work with LASEPA. That's our own EPA. So
Mr. Albert Opons, and we are ready for you.
That is it for the introduction. Again, my name is Albert Oponsa, and I manage a science, environment, and energy desk at the Ghana News Agency, and I'm a senior editor. Yes, please, let's go to the next one. Next slide. Okay, so of course, air pollution is very important. It matters to everybody because it is a growing public health challenge. All of us appreciate this. That's why we are all gathered here. In other centers such as Accra, Kumasi, Tamale, all of them are facing increasing emissions. The main resources include transports, of course. Resources include transport, waste burning, industry, and household fuels. Of course, cooking food and all that. Air quality affects health, productivity, and climate resilience. And this is a shot I took somewhere in my neighborhood. It is not cloudy. If you can see the picture below, it is not cloudy. It's not clouds that have gathered. It is somebody who has deliberately heaped garbage and it's burning. So from a very far distance, that is what my camera can capture. Please, next slide. Health and economic impacts. Yes. Respiratory diseases, asthma, and cardiovascular illness are rising. For consistently for the last 3-4 years, when I checked the Ghana Health Service statistics, these diseases are increasing, and they are, if I'm not mistaken, the first three. They occupy the first three positions in Accra alone, and I'm learning that this is also happening in Kumasi, in Tamale, and other areas. Vulnerable group include children, pregnant women, and elderly. Of course, air pollution contributes to loss of work hours and healthcare costs. Clean air supports sustainable development and national productivity. And again, I'd like to show, I never knew that processing oil, the oil we use for gobe, right? All of us love gobe, also generates emissions. And this is a picture I took around Ada in one of my trips. Matthias, please, the next slide. Okay, this is a short video I took on the graphic road. I remember putting up a story that says that, of course, Abubush area is one of the polluted areas in Accra, and I got a lot of backlash from some industrial players. I mean, if I say industrial players, people in the air quality value chain, that it is not true. I didn't fabricate the story. I got the information from, of course, the sensors that had been deployed in these areas. So, as media, we are there as public educators. We translate scientific data into public understanding. Journalists, as we are, we shape public awareness and influence behavior with the work we do. Of course, we have radio, television, digital media, and community stations reach diverse audience, and then consistent reporting keeps air quality on the national agenda. You agree with me that it used not to be regular to hear issues of air quality or on radio, reading it in our newspapers, and then even seeing it around. But these days, you can hear it. My friend Michael is there, Joy FM, City FM, Adum FM, of course, Ghana News Agency. You see all of our stories being also republished in other mediums. Next. Okay. So key media functions in air quality reporting. Yes, we try to inform citizens about the risk and solutions, which is still a problem. Many people don't know the effect of air quality, poor air quality. And sometimes I had to do person-to-person education. I remember when I was doing story, I collaborated with the Afri-SET and I did story using sensors on a bus. I spoke to a mate, and the mate was like, "Oh, I didn't know this was that dangerous." And it's true. I keep getting headaches and sneezing always because I'm exposed to some of these particles. I mean, this poor or dirty air in the work I do. Of course, what media, as we also hold institutions accountable for pollution control. Yes, a lot of the times we only fault EPA and other stakeholders who are supposed to also crack the whip. But we are also authority, right? Individuals, we have to also hold people accountable to what they do. And we amplify voices. Of course, you get to know some of these things if we don't amplify. An example is somebody a story my colleague told when we were doing a fellowship of the MTTD, a police officer who used to direct traffic during his time in service, and then when he went on retirement, this guy became very ill, and then I don't know what's happening to him now. He was battling multiple cases, health cases, and it's so sad. So we amplify some of these voices for people to know that air quality is important and we need to take measures to reduce air pollution. We promote evidence-based journalism or environmental journalism. Yes, I remember my partnership with Afri-SET, where they gave me sensors generously to go around to gauge the kind of air people are breathing when they are going to work and then when they close. Now, I brought the data back to them and they evaluated the data or analyzed the data and gave me, what's it called? They put the data in a context where everybody will understand, right? They had to analyze for me to be able to translate data into ordinary message that everybody will understand. And one of the things that came up during that exercise was that people inhale so much polluted air when they are going to work because there's so much congestion. Every vehicle is on, and you know the type of vehicle we use in Ghana. Some of them are highly emitting so much. And for 2 or 3 hours, you are coming from Amasaman or Medina, and you are in traffic, and cars are polluting, and you are sitting in a car which doesn't have an air condition, and you can imagine, you can relate. Your guess is as good as mine. The type of air you are breathing, and you do this for 2 hours in and 2 hours out. What will be your fate? I mean, what are you inviting for yourself? You can think about this. Matthias, I don't know if this is a video, but if we can jump to the next one. Yes, this is a nice video. So this is what I was talking to you about. This is also burning at Agbogboshi area. But the second, good. So this one is what we see, and we take it for granted every day. We are the vehicles we are sitting in drives behind this kind of vehicles, and we don't care. But sometimes some people who have asthma will try to cover their faces, or will use their handkerchiefs to cover their faces with so that they don't inhale this. But at that time, I'm sure some has gone in. And if you are an asthmatic patient, this will aggravate your asthma, and you are likely to get crisis. Well, so the topic for this one is that, of course, media is supposed to play a certain role in the journey of ensuring air quality. But what are the challenges that we face? We need reliable air quality data, and graciously, Afri-SET is helping together with some other stakeholders, as Prof said earlier. EPA has sensors around, and we need some of this data to tell people the situation, how our air is. Is it good? Is it bad? What can we do? If it's Ramadan season, should we wear masks, or what should we do to protect ourselves? So one of the challenges is, of course, reliable data that we need. Technical, scientific language can be very difficult to interpret, of course. So as I mentioned, I collected the data, and I didn't know what to do with the data, but with the help of Afri-SET, I was able to get meaning, or get the real meaning of the data, and that helped me in my reportage. And I encourage Afri-SET and other offices in stakeholders to partner with us, so that we will be able to bridge this gap. Environmental reporting often receives limited funding. Yes. So all of these things I'm doing, or I have done, it was possible because we got some funding through New Narratives, but we were about 20 journalists, and we're supported, with funding to go around to do stories on air quality. So sometimes when you write proposals, it is important you add some of these things to it, because the ordinary journalist will not use his money to go out and report. It needs to be funded. And as you know, media houses in Ghana don't have the luxury of funds to support journalists to go and do environmental reporting. They are looking at politics. That's why politics always dominates on our airwaves. So let's make some room for journalists to support the work they do. Sometimes it may not, of course, that it may not be only money. It may be, supporting them technically to be able to do. As Afri-SET did, they gave me the data, sensors to collect data, and then they helped me in the analysis. If I had contracted somebody to do it, I would have paid money. So this is how they helped me. Misinformation and sensationalism can distort public understanding, which is very important, and we need to look at that. That's why, as experts, you are supposed to help break the information down. When you see anything, you hear of any story that's mimic misinformation or sensationalism, get back to the journalists, explain to us, and do the right thing by educating the public. Please, let's go to the next. Okay, so opportunities for Ghanaian media. Yes. So, of course, you know that air quality issues are very technical, and people really don't understand. The opportunity here is that people are willing, some radio stations, some media, online people, some TV stations are willing to use their medium, but they don't have the expertise. So the opportunity for all of us as stakeholders is to help people to break the information to local dialect, break it down into a local dialect for people to understand. We need partnership. Of course, we scientists like I'm sure many of you are scientists. We need your support, your technical advice, and then your direction in order to be able to deliver. Universities, of course, I mentioned Afri-SET, University of Ghana, KNUST, EPA. We all need partnership. One beautiful thing about the work we do as environmental journalists is that we are not experts. We are not experts. So we can only deliver if we partner with you. And don't just invite us to come and cover the opening ceremonies of events. No. Make time for us, factor us, and let us also sit in the meetings, understand, and be able to report. Because if you understand, you're able to report it very well. Of course, there's a saying that goes that garbage in, garbage out. If you give me garbage, I'm going to give you garbage out. That is what I'm going to give to the public. So give me the right information, and I'll give the public the right information. Of course, it is a technical area. Environmental journalism is a technical area, and we produce stories using human interest. As I started talking about, or let's say, my grandma who hasn't been to school or who is limited with science information. I go and tell her that the sensor reads this and all that, and then the atmosphere is this. She will not understand. So I have to start the story using human beings. So telling the stories in a human interest way so that she can connect with it. So for instance, if I'm telling a story on opium burning, what I'll do is, find a good spot of somebody who is burning, right? And then be able to, from there, explain why the action the person is doing is dangerous, how the person, he or she is exposed to the bad nature of the air in the first place before it gets to, the neighbors. There's a story I told about how an official had to move from his location where it was highly polluted because the road had not been tarred. And then the son was getting asthma crisis almost every week. Now they moved from the area and then it became better. So you see, people can relate with such story than starting the story with jargons. We also develop data-driven and investigative reports. There are many stories we've done that we had to investigate. Who said this? Who is involved? Who is being impacted? How are authorities involved or addressing the problem and all that? So, and we use data. We use data in the work we do, but we won't quote data, but we break the data down for people to understand. Matthias, please, the next steps. Okay, so case study ideas from Ghana. Yes, air pollution around major transport corridors in Africa or in Ghana. It is a fact, right? We have Ayalulu and other, I say Ayalulu, no. The big buses that flies Accra, Kanishi, and Circle, and we all know it. It's a major problem. Open waste burning. I just shared some of the pictures and videos, short videos with you, and I don't know why the Agublushi thing is still happening. We heard that they have been moved from the area, but it's still happening. We have industrial emissions and urban planning discussions. A while ago, the EPA launched a project that they were going to. EPA is going to monitor the air quality of industries. We are yet to. I need to find out. Okay, thank you. I'm told I have 3 minutes. I need to find out what has happened to the initiative now. Of course, the successes are also case study ideas we can follow. And the tree planting. Please, the next slide, and I think we are almost done. Yes, so I mentioned that we need to build stronger collaboration between researchers and NGOs, government agencies, to also improve access to data. Universities like KNUST and Afri-SET, what they are doing, they should increase it. We should up our game with a partnership, create more awareness with development partners and as well. Communities must be involved in storytelling and solutions. Next, please. I think that should be the last. Please, let's help invest in environmental journalism. It's very important. We need to improve public access to real-time air quality information, and Clean Air Fund is doing so much with deploying sensors around, and that would be a good recommendation. We should follow. We should increase it, so we can be able. We can. I mean, with you, we'll be able to develop a national awareness campaign on pollution reduction, and also promote solution-focused reporting and accountability journalism. Do I have another slide? Yeah. Of course, I'm very much concerned about air pollution, and I know you are. That's why you are also sitting there in this meeting. You've spent the whole week learning about it. The media is critical. We are a bridge between science, policy, and society. So take us serious, make us your friends. We will be able to tell accurate and compelling stories if you form this alliance or alliance with us. And of course, we all know that clean air is a right, and all of us need to work together to achieve this. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ansa. Questions? 2 questions for him.
Yes.
2 questions.
Thank you, Mr. Ansa, for the insightful presentation. Mine has to do with the incorporating some of these environmental issues in our existing programs. So while we are working to see if we can get fundings for some of these things, how do we incorporate some of these work into existing programs so that it will help us to understand some of these issues?
Okay. Thank you very much. It is not always about funds. As I mentioned, the Afri-SET, as an example, supported me with sensor, right? And their technical knowledge. So it doesn't need, sometimes I know I have researchers who send me the papers they have published on air pollution, and then I follow up to see or to tell the story, not in the technical way, but in a way that people can relate with it. So let's build that gap. There's so much gap between journalists and technical people in the air quality space. So let's bridge that gap. And once that gap is bridged, you know that in everything you are doing, you involve them, and they will tell your stories well for you. And you won't have the chance to say that, this person has misreported this and all that. I think that will solve that problem as well. I hope that answers your question, please.
But I have a question too. Because you and I have been working this way, some of the challenges that have come up really more recently, and I'll read this headline or the title of a paper for you. It says, consumption of antioxidant-rich foods attenuates respiratory and cardiovascular health effects in a population highly exposed to air pollution. The people who published it, some of them are here, so I'll mention their names. But I'll look in their direction. So there are a lot more of these dotted across the country, especially from Ghana here. But I think that you and I, the problem really is understanding this. And if I see this in person, I saw this somewhere on the internet. It wasn't something they even sent to me. And the first thing I did was just pass, but later I went back to it. If researchers and those who are churning out the research are here, what would you advise specifically for them to say when they are reaching out to a journalist? What should they do? What should they be sending to you as a journalist that will possibly, one, pick your interest, because that's the most important thing. If I have no interest in the story, there's no reason to even follow up. And then secondly as well, what should they send to you that you think will be the building blocks of a story, right? Should they just send you a paper? Should they send you, say, a video? Or how should the communication should be, right? Should they tell you that is how do you put it in science, that this study is limited and you cannot, say, use it extensively across the country? Because journalists are more easily going to run to a story that says that, oh, if you eat apple, you will not die from air pollution. Some of them will, right? So what should they be bringing to you that makes it easier for you to also work with them? Thank you.
Yeah, Michael, thank you very much. I got that study. One of the researchers gave it to me, and it's something that's on my table. It's on my to-do right now as I speak. But as soon as I received it, I went online to read it and also to do my further studies. I had to go and read about it and antioxidant and all that, those big jargons. I had to take my time to go and to understand it. It is very important that you give us I call it the signal, the flags. I mean the right flags, the green flags. That okay, this is what I have and this of mind study. So you can pick the study, at least an executive summary of it, kind of something that is not very technical. But of course, there's that problem there, Michael. We need to have a conversation. That's as journalists and then the scientists, we need to sit down and have a conversation about this. It's something that's a big issue, and then they will be on the page where they will send us information that we will see. As soon as we see it, we see that it's useful, and we need to run with it. So it's a gap that we need to address. But I am happy that you have seen this and you are bringing it up. So, of course, as you said, some of the scientists are there, they are learning or they are hearing what we are saying. Make the information very, very light for us to understand. I don't need to go beyond certain words in order to go and look for the dictionary meaning of certain words or certain terminologies. I'm an art student and have learned on this job, and sometimes when I speak, they are like, are you a scientist? It's because I have taken the pains to learn some of these things. There are some of my colleagues who are not in this space, so when you send something like this to them, they quickly throw it in the bin, right? But if you make the research light for us, we'll jump onto it and we'll do further studies, and then we can, put a spotlight or amplify your research. And this is a very important research that, as I said, I have pinned it. I'm going to work on it because it's very important that there is a solution to this big problem we are talking about.
Mr. Ansa, thank you very much for your presentation. Very insightful one. And I think it sets all of us thinking when we are sending our research to them, how do we bridge the gap between policy or scientific research and our next presentation is on citizen science in air quality monitoring in urban poor communities. And I invite the rep for People's Dialogue Ghana to come and take us through this presentation.
My name is Alasan Baba Fuseni. I'm coming from People's Dialogue, and we are here to do a presentation. I'm with my program officer here. So looking at the citizen science in in air quality monitoring in urban poor communities. If you look at the People's Dialogue, we work a lot of informal communities across the country. So, People's Dialogue is the organization that work with the Ghana Federation of the Urban Poor, and we are into informal issues. And we also have an affiliate with the SDI, Slum Dwellers International, and our secretariat is in South Africa, Cape Town. And we work across the whole 6 regions in Ghana. And we also have a lot of members within those communities. And mainly we only have a lot of women. It is a women initiative, women lead programs in those communities. So we bring them together and we form a lot of saving groups within those communities, build their capacity. We make them do their own data, that is know your city. So as an informal community, we always want to know our community, our city, what is happening into our city or our community. So we build capacity on those people. And we also have a group that is a data group and a media group, because we needed to document all the things that we are doing. Though in the informal community, majority of those our members has not been to school, but they were able to collect their own data and they were able to document everything that they did. But we are also doing it in the with the city authorities, because when we collect our own data, we need to also use the data to advocate the social services within our communities. So without the city authority, we cannot be able to, to get that particular resources into our communities. So if you look at the steps in the KYC process, we have community stakeholders mobilization, I've already said, and then when we mobilize all these things, we have that kind of priorities that we are facing in the community. We also have data collection team. We have profiling, mapping. We do profiling, we do maps, and then risk services access in those areas. We also, after collecting our own data, we have to verify the data that we have collected, because if you are going to use the data to advocate for social services, we need to verify the data that you collected before you can now go to the city level to engage the city and the national government for such services. We also need to we also collaborate with action planning, especially in the planning department at the city level, so that they will be able to help us to also bring the informal communities in order to be part of the decision making at the assembly. Because sometimes in the informal areas, they will only make decisions for you and you are not there. So sometimes they will bring some development issues in those areas, and maybe those particular area doesn't need that kind of development, so it will be wasted. So we want them to be part of the decision making at the assembly in order to also make our input in those areas. So that is why we say data is not the purpose, but part of the process. because we need to be part and parcel of the whatever that you are doing, so that you can be able to make decisions for yourself. So I will end here and give it to my program officer to continue.
Thank you very much. I'm Rebecca Ajeri. I work with People's Dialogue. People's Dialogue is the support NGO for Ghana Federation of the Urban Poor, and that's where Fuseni is an executive member. So we support People's Dialogue supports the federation in doing their work. So in Clean Air, we had a project which was funded by Clean Air Fund with the topic exposure of urban poor to air pollution in Ghana. And that's where we inputted, we had the citizen science coming in for the citizens to take their own data in air quality. So the project was pioneered to get the residents themselves participating in data collection to broaden their knowledge base and also bring together the local leaders and other stakeholders, regulators, and the city authorities together in the communities. So I think I've already said that using community volunteers to collect data to support community understanding and strengthen their dialogue, and also by using their low-cost sensors to collect air pollution data. So we have worked in this particular project, we worked in 3 communities: Old Fadama, Sokoban in Kumasi, and Tamanu Town. Yeah. So we used fixed sensors as well as the movable sensors, that's the air beam, for the community volunteers themselves to collect the data within these 3 communities. So in looking at what we did, we had community champions within the community, and we had the volunteers as well. The volunteers were chosen based on you being able to use the digital platform. So if you're able to use the phone to collect the data, you can join the group. So after getting these people, they were trained, and then together with them and the city officials and the assembly reps we had, they developed an action plan on air pollution. So looking at how it was done, we see the sensors. Okay. So the sensors, air beam sensors, were taken to Afri-SET, where they were calibrated for us because we are not experts in this field. So we needed experts, and I have seen Dr. Cosmos around, who has been the consultant who supported us, and in training these people, the volunteers who were going to use the sensors within the community. So they had the training, the volunteers had the training within these 3 communities. They had hands-on training, and they moved within the communities themselves to take the data, and they did it daily. We did it in 3 seasons: the Harmattan season, we did the major rainy season, and the minor rainy season. So these are pictures showing the training and the discussions that were held. Yeah. So talking about the benefits of using the same people within the community for taking the data, you see they owned the project. So as they moved along within the community, having the sensors on them, people were asking them, what are you taking? Then with that, they were telling the people about clean air, telling them how polluted or how good the air the people around where they are. And you see that it empowered the youth. Those who got involved, they felt empowered. I'm able to do what the experts are doing by taking the data, getting the records, and sending it, and later seeing the records themselves as they have done. It's also strengthened advocacy and accountability. There are some lessons we've learned and from what we did. This is the first time we are using them, volunteers taking the air beam sensors with them. They kept it in their homes and they move around in the community wherever they are going. They move around with it and they recorded it themselves as they have been trained and sent it to the consultant for assessments. So you see that as we recruited these people, there was some challenges on the about daily recordings, because sometimes they are doing their own work and you have brought them into this. So sometimes maybe I'm not within the community that day. I have to travel outside the community. This is a challenge. So we had to train them at every phase. So before we start every phase, we retrain them, let them get to know that within this period, try as much as possible and collect the data for us. And so we had to also maintain the same wearers for the 3 phases, because if we change them, it means we are going to start all over again. And these people are not experts in air quality. They are not experts like some of us in this room. I am also not an expert, but most of you are experts in collecting the data on air quality. So we also see that this they've got their family responsibilities as well. And since they are not the educated, or should I say they don't have the degrees, some of them were recording poor readings in some cases. They might forget, but what can you do? Oh, they tried their best to do the recordings for us. Some also reported poor network, because we use the internet mostly for recording and sending the data. The consultant will attest to the fact that sometimes you will call them that we didn't receive for yesterday. I didn't have data. My data was finished. Others will say the light was off and so I couldn't send it. So these are some of the challenges we faced. And we had so it's maybe you needed the results every evening, but then others will send it maybe a day later or 2. So this is a challenge we had. But in general, they were enthused about they going into the community to collect the data themselves and telling people about the census, because most of them had not even seen some of the census before and they didn't know what these census were used for. So for the data collected and the results we had, if you see people's dialogue, you can have access, and Clean Air Fund is also there for us. Thank you so much, and thank you for having time with us.
Very much. Any questions for them?
My programs manager is also around, Salifu, so if you've got questions, he's there to also support. Thank you.
Let me ask the first question. After the citizens collected the data, I mean the community people, did you go back there with the data to share with them what they've collected and the impact it will have on their health?
Yes, please. In one of my in one of the pictures I showed there, we had community deba with them, where the data they took and the data they recorded, was explained to them. So we had the peak in Old Fadama. I think the media man was also talking about that same area. The peak we had was in Old Fadama. I think the list was in Tema Newtown. So we did with the assembly officials also coming to have a take in this for their action plans. Yeah, thank you.
My name is Juliana Chan from the Graduate School of Nuclear and Allied Sciences. And I would say that this is an interesting project. What I want to know is, why did you choose the locations you did the project in?
Thank you very much. You like to? So we usually deal with the informal settlements. So these are settlements. When you talk about Old Fadama,
is an informal settlement where we have scrap dealers, where we have Abobloshi markets just around that area. And we've been working with people in there too. The Ghana Federation of Urban Poor has their savings group in there. When we talk about Sokoban, we have the Wood Village in Sokoban where and they also burn charcoal. They burn the wood. So we wanted the people within these areas to record the data on air quality themselves and realize the kind of air they are breathing within their communities. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. My name again is Prosper Makumbe, EPA. Please, I enjoyed your presentation. Frankly speaking, aspect that the people themselves went there to pick that data for themselves means that it's really a genuine data. And I also just want to, as a way of a plea, that maybe if you can extend this work to other parts of Ghana, not necessarily Accra, but maybe Volta region, for instance, we equally have communities that you could clearly see that air pollution issues are upcoming. You mentioned about charcoal burning and the rest. We have similar issues in Volta region, and I wish that maybe the next time you have a sponsorship, you can also consider Volta region as a study area.
Thank you so much. I think you are calling for sponsorship and funding for us, so I'm grateful. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Our online participants, please, do you have any questions for them before we go to the next session? People's Dialogue, thank you very much for your presentation. Let's give them a round of applause. Yeah, thank you. Our next session is going to be an open discussion, and it will be led by Clean Air Fund Country Lead, Mr. Apia, and EPA Ghana. They are going to lead the discussion for us. We have 1 hour discussion. Feel free to engage. Let's dialogue. Let's try and see if there can be collaborations. So we leave here with an impact, not just attending the workshop. Thank you very much. So let's give the two of them a round of applause as they come to lead this session for us.
All right. Thank you so much, Madam Moderator. And I have my good friend here. Sometimes we fight, but today we are not fighting. We are good friends. You are saying a lot. Who initiates the fight?
Usually you.
You see? Okay, so I think our job is very simple. We have heard a lot. How many days? 4 days. So it's about monitoring. It's about air quality. It's about equipment. And we see how we are promoting the use of low-cost sensors. So the discussion is on the low-cost air quality sensors in Africa, the opportunities, the limitations, and then the policy relevance. The opportunities, limitations, and then policy relevance.
Thank you very much. That's setting the good tone for the conversations. If you recall, when our colleague from Senegal did his presentation, we were asking about how it started and what it led to. It's great listening to LAMATA also, because we are all hearing about what is happening in Lagos, the new lines and all. The key thing is that all the work that we are doing, as Dr. Allison mentioned, has to lead to impact. At the end of the day, and Clean Air Fund will be here 4 years. This year, second half of the year, we are going to be looking at the impact that we have made. And every time, part of the reason why me and my elder sister, we fight is because initially she used to say that I don't mention what EPA has been doing. So I've changed my style. These days, I highlight what EPA has been doing because it is clear that EPA has been doing a great deal. But because we are not putting it in context to see the impact, it's difficult. So, like Madam mentioned, all these 3-4 days, we want to understand from your perspectives, the knowledge you've acquired, the networks you have built, the interactions. How do you think, and what are some of the things you think we need to be doing, all of us as a collective, to lead us, not just we acquire knowledge and go and sleep, but how do we make it impactful? This session, or this first 10 minutes, we make it a bit open. After that, we make it a bit restrictive so that we'll be able to maybe touch on specific topics. Are we okay?
Right.
Okay, madam.
I think in the morning when I came in, they were sharing their experiences, what they have learned. And I believe they have captured a number of them, because people really indicated what the 4 days or the 3 days that was in the morning, what they have learned. And then for some of them, how they're going to make use of the information that they have acquired from here. So with that, I don't know whether we should repeat that or we just look at what is there on the low-cost census. I mean, looking at how it is being used now. What opportunities is it creating for us in terms of gathering data? We know that, the traditional way of monitoring is expensive. And that is the more reason why in most countries, the monitoring is very limited and we didn't used to have data. But now with the introduction of the low-cost census, though they say it's low cost, but if you actually look at the price, for us in Africa, it is not really the case. But they are saying it's low cost, so we have accepted it like that. So with that, what opportunities is it creating for us as Africans, especially in terms of getting data? And then so that we'll be able to, if you talk about pollution and you don't have data, people will not really understand you. But if the data is there, that is when you can really be emphatic that this is what is happening here. So what are the opportunities that the introduction of the low-cost census is presenting to us?
And we can get 3 feedbacks. Opportunities. Okay, so we have one here.
I was expecting to see more hands.
Yes.
Because the presentations that we had were all telling us the stories. So what are the opportunities?
And our ladies, so far, since I've been here, very few ladies have spoken. So, oh yes, very few. So we want to be able to do some balancing. Our first speaker is male. We think the next 2 ideas, opportunities, identification, we should get from our ladies as well. So please.
Okay. Yeah. So the opportunity that comes to mind is for example, we started talking about the impact of air pollution, the number of deaths it causes, the economic costs of it, and the fact that we need evidence to be able to decide where will intervention bring the most results. And so having low-cost census is an opportunity for governments, MMDAs, to actually install them, buy some of them, install them, because the returns will be several times the costs. Because if you are investing, say, $250 in a low-cost sensor and placing, maybe for an assembly, placing 10 of them, that's $2,500. But that will give you enough information on the basis of which you can then even advise people. If people living near particular, as the last presentation showed, once people become aware that this is what we are living with, this is the level of pollution in our city, and so on, that helps with behavioral changes, and also it helps when the government says we are going to do X and Y. It helps to present that evidence, which then helps with policy. So I think the first opportunity I see is the ability to deploy. So far, most of the air quality measurements we have done is based in Accra, and then there's a few in Kumasi and other places. But elsewhere, we are basically living in Wonderland, and so it's an opportunity for us to deploy across the entire country.
All right, thank you. Since this is a West Africa conversation, and I think you are speaking from a Ghana perspective, we want to get other countries' perspectives. No, wait. We are looking at the Ghana. We want to get other countries' perspectives as well. Which opportunities are others also seeing?
That after the gentleman, ladies.
Ladies.
A lady who has raised their hand there.
Yeah, but the lady is also Ghanaian, so we want to get lady, not Ghanaian. Not so. Okay. This one, when we will take a score on the course of the fight. So we want to get two other perspectives. I've seen you, four. The ladies, we want to get some ladies talking. Yes. There's after. Okay. So we are seeing that there's opportunity from what Dr. Otulabi is saying, that as we have data, it can then take us from the darkness into the light. Okay. Please, thank you. Please introduce yourself.
Julian Echa from the Graduate School of Nuclear and Allied Sciences.
Ghana. Okay, go ahead.
I will be comparing the low-cost sensor to the gravimetric analysis. And in comparison, the low-cost sensor is not as labor-intensive. If you are embarking on a gravimetric analysis, and let's say your air sampler needs an electricity source, you'd have to get an electricity source, you have to get where to place it, the filters, send it to the lab for analysis. As compared to the low-cost sensors, I would say, as I mentioned earlier, it's not as labor-intensive.
Thank you. Boss, which country? Please, let's hear from Liberia. And then I'm still looking. Senegal, yes. Nigeria. Okay, please go ahead.
So for my country, Liberia, as it relates to what is being discussed, it will help in supporting public health or research in terms of creating a link between air pollution and that of public health in terms of those respiratory and cardiovascular diseases that will be linked to air pollution. And now looking at my country, being a country that is experiencing several things like road construction, other things in terms of industry being there, all of those pollutant and respiratory issues that will be related to occupational health hazard I think it's very much an opportunity because data will be available for people to be able to do that particular linkage in order to reduce the level of air pollutant in the environment.
Thank you very much. And that is a great point. Why so? It is not just a matter of knowing that the pollution levels are this high in this neighborhood. That is why if we just talk the pollution, it just doesn't make sense to anybody. It is the opportunity to be linking it. And when Albert was giving his presentation from a journalist point of view, he was saying, not just saying, oh, this pollution level is so high, but the human story. If pollution is high, and so what? That is the question. So there is a great opportunity there for us to be linking the data. How do you show that when we monitor, this is what we found? And we've also found out, because there's health information highlighting that this kind of diseases are also high. And then now there's enough research all around the world that can give us that linkage. So please, the opportunity is there. It is not data for data's sake, because as for that one, it's happening all over. It is what the data means, and that is how the policymakers can be able to take advantage of it.
Okay, so we're still picking your thoughts about the opportunities. There's a hand at the back, please. Oh, okay.
Yes, so hi, I'm Mohammed Dabo from the Gambia. So my point of view is a bit different. So I'm seeing things, let's say as a software engineer, the things that we normally think about is what the user sees. So in this point of view now, the user is the people. So all this data we take, we analyze, is all for the sake of the community. So this policy making is all for the sake of public health. So now this is an opportunity where it starts all the way from advocacy. Because there's so many policies that, yes, okay, you have the policies, but then the people don't know how this benefits them. So first, I see it as an opportunity where now you have this, you see where this pollution is being where you see it's from and whatnot, then you can say, okay, you teach the people this is what happens if so and so happens. Then after that, you can go to implementation. So with these sensors, for my nation, we are way behind compared to Ghana. There's like, I could say 4 sensors in our country, and it's all by my company. So I see a huge opportunity where we'll be able to go towards the path Ghana is taking for a country of 2 million people. So it's smaller than Accra. So it's a big opportunity. Thank you.
Right. I think it's a great point, because if you want to put in interventions and then you know where it is coming from, you'll be able to devise specific interventions, and then the monitor will also help you to also assess the impact of that intervention that you have put in. So it's a great, but don't worry about where you are starting from. We all started from somewhere. In the Monday I mentioned, initially we didn't even have any real-time monitors. The gravimetric monitors, but now it is a process. It is when you decide to just remain where you are, that is when it is a problem. But you have 4. I'm sure the next time we meet, it will be more than 4. Yeah.
And there's even opportunity with the networking, with meeting other people, with Afri-SET, to be able to even move faster. And what I got from you is that it's an opportunity for education and awareness creation. And we would say that we shouldn't just say we are not individuals anymore. This is a huge network. I saw the WhatsApp group, about 50 plus, and all of us are resources available to each other. So there's great opportunity there. Thank you for that.
Okay, thanks. So I also see the opportunity to build a database that is easily accessible to everyone. We've had different presentations where people have different data, but I'm sure if I don't reach out to that person or I wasn't in this meeting, I won't have. But if we have a single database where we know that depending on your country, you can contact this institution and they can easily give you the data. If I decide to go to a particular community to raise awareness, I don't even need to go with monitors. I only need to retrieve that data that was done by those group of people, and then I can use. So it means that if we are getting an institution to do that, then we should get someone to validate the data. So it is not like you just upload the data. Probably you go to the person, because different sensors are being used to collect the data. So you go to the person, they check the validation and calibration that you did whilst you're collecting the data. And once it meets the criteria, we can upload it and all of us can access it. Thank you. A quick one. And then also let's be deliberate in measuring the health effect. Being in the public health space for some time, when you measure just the air pollution levels and you say it is linked to this, they struggle to accept it. But if you go to a community and let's say when you were measuring, the very time you were measuring the pollution levels, and then you measured some health effects that you know, let's say blood pressure, and you're able to draw the association, they accept that data readily because that is more like evidence-based as compared to we just measuring levels and then later saying that literature has shown it doesn't sit well with them. So if we want to help those in the public health, then we must be deliberate in measuring those data as well. Thank you.
Yes. So mine is on the awareness issue. I think I would say that, or based on some of the workshops that I've been to and the conferences, people have presented on the fact that, or even, for example, in KNUST, air pollution in Africa one, they came, you go out, you ask people questions, trying to get the awareness level. And when they were presenting on their results, you could see that people are much aware of the issue. They know the situation. They know what is going on. If you ask them about the solutions, most of the time they will tell you that their waste, the government is supposed to pick their waste, the government is supposed to do this. So I think we should now graduate from the awareness creation, identification, and then we should move into action. What are we supposed to do to reduce what we have within our localities? One of the things I see or I feel that we can do is to be able to set up certain tribunals, maybe being led by the chiefs, some environmental officers like the town council and all those things, if they have to sit every Wednesday, every Friday, or once in a month, twice in a month, to get cases on whoever burnt something behind somebody's house and how the person had the effect, then we can summon them during those periods, find them. If it is 500 Ghana cedis, you find a person 500 Ghana cedis. That's based on the policy that we set. And then the money that we get from that, we use it to improve the community in terms of whether it's waste or anything. My last point is also when it comes to waste. I've seen that almost every time we have a lot of empty bottles here. One man comes here and then pick everything away. Have we asked ourselves where our bottles ended? Whether in the rubbish, whether in somebody's village or town. Are they burning it or they are recycling it? That is another problem. My solution that I have been thinking about, and I think for this one we should start doing it, is that if this bottle goes for, let's say, 3 Ghana cedis, right? We can make it 10 Ghana cedis. When you return the bottle, you get your 7 cedis back. It's as simple as that. Return the bottle and get your 7 cedis back. So it will force people to drink it there, give the bottle back, and then you take your 7 Ghana cedis and move away. If you don't and you pack and go, which means you are losing that money, and that money can be used to improve the waste management system. And we have to make sure that at the end of the day, that money also goes into a certain account that is not linked to the government to use it for other means that we wouldn't have to pressure ourselves on it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll take 2 more. Oh, okay. So it means 3. Don't worry, we have other topics.
So thank you very much. And for the opportunity, I have to say, as we already have data, validate data, we can use it by adding some, let's say, social information based on the town or country or neighborhood. Once we have information related to hospital and the level of pollution in one area, we can gathering all this data and compute the data by using artificial intelligence. It will help us to say for such a kind of disease, due to all these parameters you got, it's drive to this kind of symptoms. We did the same work in Senegal because we build what we call a program using Python with 2,000 data from no communicable disease in one hospital, and by getting new data from patient, we are able to say this patient are going to have one no communicable disease or not in couple of years, and it was validated up to 98%. So it's a robust program we wrote on artificial intelligence using Python, and we have data, because without data we cannot work that kind of program. So we are on community, we have data, we can do so. And the second thing is, I did not present, but we build what we call fast forest in Senegal, just to prevent from Sahara dust, and we use 1 hectare square by adding what we call phosphogypsum, which has waste from phosphate industry. So gypsum is able to increase the length of the roots from plant up to 1 meter. It will let plant grow faster and keep this Sahara dust far from the capital. So as we have data, we can imagine what we can do with this data. So it's just a kind of opportunity.
Sure.
Thank
you very much. And I'm making quite a few points that I'll just put together as a. So we'll come to you. The topics are 3, so relax, okay? Yes, please.
Okay, thank you so much. Well, mine also goes in hand.
Introduce yourself.
Sorry. I'm Solomon Otulomote, a lecturer at the University of Environment at Somanya. Okay. Well, mine also goes to the fact that it involves the awareness creation and the opportunity that you have stated. I think you rightly mentioned that we are more than 50 in the WhatsApp page. Yes, I think Afri-SET has organized such workshops with different motives to bring capacity training and then also develop some skills and also to go and create impacts. So my main recommendations that I see is that if the subsequent workshops that will be organized, I learned yesterday I have to work out quickly and came in, and then there was someone presenting online from Kenya of loaning air quality sensor. If EPA and the strongmen could join, they could make the deployment and then receiving of the item to most of the participants at a lesser fee, because one, the network system of air quality is more concentrated in Accra than other places, as Dr. Otulabi said. However, my main concern is we've learned a lot of things from here, skills and tools for 3 days. It's not about eating, going for coffee break, and then the lunch and dinner. However, when we are leaving, we should leave with a low-cost sensor. Then we become stakeholders of those sensors. And also, now, if you are difficulty, you are also working because you have been to the workshop. In our subsequent years, when we are here for a workshop, then they are giving a lightning talk of 5 minutes. You were here last year, yes. The sensor we gave to you. So because the person is supposed to tell us what he has done with the sensor and what is he doing. Because if you always be like, we come, we meet, and then they train, before they leave here, the code is gone. Because coding is like a baby you are feeding. You have to feed it a little till you get to it. So sometimes I know a time will come, Dr. Allison, Prof. Allison will not have that strength to be putting in the strength to be coding. He will need all of us on board to put this. So this is one of the opportunities we could have, but we are pleading on the agencies if they can come in that during these subsequent workshops, we could have the low cost sensors as a token. After a certificate is given and a sensor is given to you, it's marked with a code, you have to install. That's the duty. And then data is transmitted and lightning token poster. So thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to respond to that one before our friend. I think the mic is coming this way. I think that we are giving tools when we meet like this, and Doc made a point. And recently I was following up on looking at the impact of some of the training that we've been doing elsewhere. And one of the things that I've learned was one beneficiary of such a program learned about Mandela Washington Fellowship or something like that, wrote to them, I think wrote 2 or 3 proposals. Like Doc said, the first one was not accepted, did it again. And she was able to get, I think, 15 or so sensors. And it is mounted in Techiman. There's a guy, Yusuf, where are you? That's where I met Yusuf. And that person is the person that Yusuf has gone to replace. She's no more there. But I'm writing about her because I feel that it deserves some spotlighting to say that this person went for a workshop, learned about air quality and all that, did not sit, went back, looked for potential sources of action, and acted. So I think the tools that we are being given, that is part of it. As our friend from Gambia was talking, I was thinking about what we can ultimately get, which I'll discuss with Doc later, that out of this workshop, some of the key things, because we have a question here about policy relevance. And I'm seeing as I come, these 2 days I've been here, listening, making notes. What are some of the policy directions? What are some of the advantages that we can see? So I'm answering this to say that there are tools that we've been given. Sometimes we are given those tools. We have to work with the tools. I understand. If we had the opportunity to give sensors, I think it would be great. But which sensors? And then EPA is concerned, I'm using Ghana example. EPA is concerned about the sensor quality. Is the data going to be accurate so that ultimately it makes sense to add into a network? So there are quite a lot of steps. But it's a good point to raise because I've been to other workshops where they give sensors after that, personal sensors, so people can have an idea of the situation. But the tools that we have, one of them is that we can become advocates to be talking to people. So there are things to be done step by step. Yes, sir. Introduce yourself and your country. If you are from Ghana, then I cut you.
Yes, I'm from Ghana.
Carry on.
My name is Pascal from the University of Environment and Sustainable Development, a final year student. And I think this presents an educational opportunity and also an opportunity in decentralizing air quality monitoring efforts. Because when I was doing my literature review, I realized that the monitoring efforts in Ghana are usually based in cities, major cities like Accra, Kumasi, Tamale. Without or leaving behind rural areas. Yes, so with low-cost sensors, we can decentralize efforts to rural areas because air pollution is transboundary. It's not only if you are monitoring only Accra and dealing with how you can solve it in only Accra. The pollution in other areas can still affect your efforts in Accra here. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And our friend here from Kintampo, they are doing some work in the middle of the country. And some of the data there, I don't know if Prof. Westerville talked about it. The data is showing that the pollution levels in Kintampo areas are almost the same as Accra. So that feeling that we're having that it's only the urban centers that have challenges is not true. It's just that the sources may differ. So it's a very valid point. Clean Air Farm previously, we didn't do rural areas, but we had opportunity for equity purposes to do 2 projects in rural areas. And I'm sure the next time we'll meet, or you will hear about the feedback. And that is focusing on, say, rice burning, how people prepare land and all that. So true, because the pollution moves. That is why if we just concentrate on the urban center, we will make a mistake. And that's why I'm glad listening to all the information coming from everybody, that when Lagos showed the map of their network, I was very excited because it showed that the monitoring is happening all over the place. And it is informing the nature of the decisions. To have a 26-kilometer rail line, that is a huge thing. 26 kilometers from the coast here, it will be almost my house. And if I had a rail line going all the way to Malawi, I mean, very, very excited. You know, so there are a lot of lessons that we can be getting out of it, but it's a good point on equity. Yes, you went here. Well, this man is delayed. Okay, you go ahead. Where you finish then?
My name is Emmanuel Ikpe. The lead engineer in Mary Africa. We manufacture air quality monitoring devices. So, yeah, we've talked about data. We've talked about the impact of data. I mean, the impact of awareness and all that. So, also we should one of the benefits of this program also is that it creates, of course, that created awareness, and we should talk about the quality of this data. We know that currently Africa lacks data, and majority of our data are kind of satellite data. So if you look at the what we are actually talking about right now is actually institute data, talking about low cost devices, low cost sensors. They are more of institute data, and which is actually very accurate if we properly calibrate these sensors. So I think in putting more emphasis on installing institute data is actually a benefit to Africa and West Africa at large.
Thank you very much. We cannot, as I said on Monday, when I saw the map of Africa, and it was virtually dark, just a few spots. Yesterday, I saw the video Professor Westerveld showed another map, and you can tell, if you compare to the 2019 map that I saw, and you look at the map that he showed yesterday, you can definitely tell that there is movement. Now in the middle of Kenya has monitoring, Uganda, Tanzania, South Africa. If you come to West Africa too, almost all our countries have some form of monitoring. So as Madam said before she left, she'll be back soon, that there is progress, and we should always see this as a journey. We are not even in the places like Copenhagen, where the air quality has been improved so much, they are still putting air quality as a concern. In China, they've been able to improve the quality of air in cities, massive scale, but it's now topical. So we shouldn't have a feeling that we have arrived or we have gotten there. Because the least thing you do, you get back to worst situation. It is a continuous program. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. I'm Abraham Amankwa from the Department of Physics, University of Ghana. I want to talk about, continuity. What we have done, how do we then disseminate the information? Teachers, we always say that audiovisual aids can speak a lot or can influence dissemination of information so much, because that one, the person hears it, you also see the action going on. So in that case, the person can appreciate whatever is going on. Good, I think we had these SDI people and then, using the local people as volunteers, gathering data and so on and so forth. But I think that it shouldn't end there. We should further develop, audiovisual aid, trying to link some of the impacts, like, having suggested health impacts, climate impacts, and so on and so forth, so that we develop a kind of, videos for that locality. And when they see it, one, they are part of, the acquisition of the data, and two, whatever they generated or they supported in gathering is being used to get them that information. Like, these days, when yesterday especially, I used to ask Dr. Cosmos, can you use Ghana example? Because that one, we can appreciate, we can then think back and say, oh, it's true, this is what happened the other time and it's being captured here. So we can appreciate it better. So I'm thinking that wherever we have gathered the information, wherever we're taking data, it shouldn't end there. Let's prepare the audio-visual thing and then link it to, health, problems and the rest, and then begin to show to them from time to time. And also about the loaning of the census. So, yesterday we were told it can go for only 1 year. So, after the 1 year, what is the continuity? We can, based on the 1 year existence of the descent, one, we can generate a lot of scenarios, a situation where we intentionally burn, we set up, burning spots, and then we measure. Where, there is no pollution, we measure, and so on and so forth. So at the end of the day, when it generates the audiovisual aid for that community, even though the sensor is gone, it can always serve as a reminder. And then, they can continue to be aware of, the effect of pollution and the rest. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Please, can I just contribute a bit? So thanks a lot. I think that someone raised the issue of sensor, and I think Desmond rightly gave an example of someone who attended our training and went back and wrote to a manufacturer and got a number of sensors for which region is that? The Bono East. Yeah. So unfortunately, she's being moved to the head office. So I hope the people who she left these sensors with are making good use of it. So I think that we brought people here to challenge them and to also share knowledge. We see this as a trainer of trainers workshop. We expect that after you have gained some knowledge here, go back. You realize that our workshop is not an open one. We do invite people. We don't open it up for people to apply. It's because we are very strategic. We want to build institutions. We want to build our stakeholders. In this room, we have stakeholders who are students, undergraduates, graduates. We have people from various organizations and institutions. And we feel that these institutions and these students we brought, they in some way are working with the area of air quality, and they are also either doing some research or they have sensors which they have, deployed. And so we think that to come, you realize that when the facilitators were there, they also show us where we can even get open data. So why can't you go to the open data, download this data, try these tools, and the data you find on OpenAQ are all across the city. And some are even now with the EPA sensors in TEMA. They are available. So data now is there, and we want to expose you to how to visualize this data, how to analyze this data. These are the skills that we need. There are a lot of satellite data also. And I think some of the facilitators spoke to you about this data. So I believe that next year by this time, we should get to see that how have you utilized the knowledge you have from here. Okay? Very soon we'll share with you some forms just to get the feedback from you. Online forms, you fill it, and then we'll look at your feedback and see what we can do in our next workshop. But look, there are manufacturers out there who are looking for you to write to them and they will give you sensors. Albert, the journalist who spoke before we went for the break, was someone who came and took a few sensors from us, got into public transport, went across Accra, because he had an idea what are commuters who commute from their homes to work and back, what are the level of exposure they encounter moving in public transport. We trained him how to use a sensor. He went out. After he wrote this story, he won an award for this. Clean Air Fund featured him during one of the Clean Air for Blue Skies days. But what was interesting is that the manufacturer of that sensor contacted him and now provided him a lot more of the sensor. So the later you do, will expose what you are doing, and people will come in to help you. So that is one thing that I want all of us to take from here. That next time, before we invite you, you let us know how well you have taken this knowledge, okay, and how well you are utilizing it. We brought some others who had attended our workshop. Dr. Laurentia have shown you why how she came to the workshop, came to us, got some sensor, and she was able to do a study. So for Afri-SET, our work is mainly talking to manufacturers to send us their sensors to evaluate in the realistic African environment, since most of their tests for their sensors are done where they are. Here we don't have snow, okay? But we have Hamilton. They don't have Hamilton. And some will go there and purchase these sensors and want to know how it works. So we do these evaluations. We put our reports, we don't, compare manufacturers. We do independent report, put it on our website, and make it open for everyone to go there and see how these sensors perform. And if you need guidance or you need to do some work and you want to purchase sensors, we are there to guide you. We cannot give you what is the best sensor, but we can work with you on your concept and what you want to monitor to tell you that this one will do the work that you want to do. Okay? So we don't rank manufacturers. That is for the micro sensor challenge, which we joined Air Paris. And then just to round up, we haven't heard from Togo. We have participants from Togo. We have from Nigeria. There's another manufacturer who is here. We want to hear also from you. Sierra Leone. Yes, so please, this section is to be an open discussion or more or less a stakeholder discussions. Let us know what is happening at your end. I told you someone came from Liberia, told us we didn't have sensor. We found an opportunity. Today, they are not only getting local sensors, they are getting a very expensive reference monitor. So if you don't share your problem, how will we know what you have?
You won't get medicine.
Exactly. Thank you.
All right. So Sierra Leone, we'll start from there because your mayor in Freetown is my good friend. And so that one, you have to talk. I didn't know you were here. Otherwise, I would have been on your case long ago. Togo, get ready.
Yes. I think good afternoon, everyone. Mm-hmm. Currently, of course, Sierra Leone, we are still struggling with quality air. But the good news is, as of yesterday, I just got information that they've installed about 12 sensors across the Freetown city.
And you won't tell us, so we clap for you guys. Let's clap for them. Yeah. It's a good move.
Exactly. And also, of course, through this workshop and the networking, I've also got contact with Paul from Nigeria, who also is working with another American agency to install some sensors again in Sierra Leone in the eastern part, that's in Kenema. Of course, it's really a great opportunity coming here. Initially, it sounds or it looks like watching a movie because all these things we've not been opportune to have access to them. Imagine this is the first time ever we are installing air monitoring. You can imagine that. But like I don't know if one of the speakers said we must start from somewhere, and today we are grateful that we already have 12. And I don't know if Paul is around who can help us with the number of which they are planning to install again. And moving forward, like what we are saying, the opportunities. Of course, I've jotted down a lot of notes to ensure that we will work with Prof, because I have this lecturer, Mr. Bia, who is so passionate about air quality. And we are really going to see how best we can engage and make sure that we also take some of these other sensors to other parts of the country. Thank you very much.
I would get your details, connect with my people there so they keep an eye on him. Is that not a good idea? So when we don't hear any positive thing, you know that we are watching you. Okay? Okay. So Togo.
Okay.
When you finish, I'll tell you my story about Togo.
Okay. I'm Sonla Hezoe, University of Lomé. We start air quality study with a few sensors who help us to have the first data on air quality.
That is this data help us to know the level of air pollution in Lome. But now we don't have enough sensor to cover another area or region. We want the help to have enough sensor to continue our study. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sorry for my English.
Yeah, you are doing much better than if we were to speak French. You know, last year we had a training in KNUST, and there was a guy that came from Togo, and he's promised to invite me to come and see the work that they are doing. What was interesting about his work in air quality was that he was doing Togo and Cote d'Ivoire. And so we felt that if his work improves, it means that the network also opens up. And so it's very exciting. But we will have a bit more chat on that. We had 3 areas that we wanted to look at. There's also the areas of limitation. And some of the feedback that we've been hearing have highlighted some limitations. One of them is the quality of data and also the census, if it will help to achieve the goal. I see an opportunity there. For instance, now we all have relationship with Afri-SET. Some of the projects that we have supported all mentioned how they linked with Afri-SET to be able to ensure that the sensor that they are going to use was calibrated. Please, don't just go and buy a sensor, go and put it somewhere, and then go and make noise. Because what will happen is that the regulators will call you and they will pick an issue with you and say that you are saying this is a hotspot. How did you know it's a hotspot? The sensors, and they will just try to poke holes in your work. And most of you are scientists. You know that once the methodology and the instruments are questioned, it puts the whole work that you are doing in doubt. And we don't need that. So please take advantage of the network, engage your colleagues, engage Afri-SET. Some of you mentioned you are manufacturing sensors. There's a guy in Ghana that was introduced to me that they are working on sensors. My first point was that go to Afri-SET, don't come and talk to me. I was not being rude. I was just trying to let him understand that it is not a matter of I've developed a sensor. It is about what the sensor will do. So go and talk to Afri-SET. When you talk with them and what they tell you, then come and let's have a conversation. Recently, I was on their website and I saw, or somebody called me, that on their website, that person's website, they have put that they have a partnership with Clean Air Fund and all that. Do you guys think it is right? No, I'm asking, honestly. Do you think it's right? Because they don't have a partnership with us. You see? And as much as we don't want to burst any entrepreneur's bubble, we want to do right. So go to the right people, have the conversation. If they make recommendations, go and incorporate it. Then you continue to move to the next step. So please, the quality of the data is one of the limitations we need to pay attention to. All the sensors have lifespan, so you need to keep an eye on that. Then there was a mention of Mr. Mankwa, I think he's got up. Audiovisuals, solutions. I think if we meet in future, we are not going to have to talk about we are building capacity for the tools. We need to be hearing about the solutions, the things you are doing because you've acquired the knowledge. I would add again about what I call spotlighting. You know, when I listen to the stories, the things that are happening, they are great stories, but nobody knows about them. Nobody. That's why I like that they had the media interaction. We need to link the work we are doing to the media so that the information will come out. You are doing a great job and nobody knows about it. Sometimes people say the Americans, they brag, but it's just that they are putting themselves out. Please, we need to make the awareness, the solutions out there. So it's a limitation that we have. The good job that is happening in Volta region, nobody knows about it. There's Prosper. There's one Prosper here from, yes, Volta region, Oxygen City. And then there's Prosper as well. He also Prosper. Pascal, okay. So we need to highlight the good works. Getting this opportunity to hear from our colleagues from Lagos, from Dakar, on some of the good works, because I'm very interested. We collect the data, we don't link it to anything. We don't show the impact. So let us do that. We would have another discussion. If anybody wants to add to the limitations, we can take 3 limitations that we are seeing. 3 limitations. Anybody? Otherwise, I'll mention countries. Okay. Do you see a hand? Okay.
All right, thank you very much. Well, I don't know if I would call it a limitation, but from where I come from, you know, we talk about air quality and we're talking about local sensors. And it's good that we are looking at a negative matrix factorization to do the source apportionment, because we are mostly used to using the positive, the PMF, because we have the tools to analyze the pollutants on the particulates, on the field test. So we get the heavy metals and all the other ones. Then we use it for the source apportionment to identify the sources of the pollutants. And the other thing with the local sensors is that, like I was saying earlier, I mean, it has its own limitations, giving you only PMs and then, if possible, some gases. But then we don't get to know the elemental composition, which some of them are carcinogenic, cancer, whatever. Yes. So those might come as a limitation. The other aspect of it is that, like the student said, Juliana said, is quite, should I say, not low cost when it comes to doing gravimetric analysis, because the Teflons, which are very clean, are very expensive, and even getting some of the samplers are also. So probably, maybe if we can look at how to complement the local sensors with a bit of the gravimetrics at some specific locations, so that we can get some detailed pollutant levels, so that we can equally inform policy makers on where to look at, where the regulators, or where to regulate, who to look out for. Because sometimes somebody is somewhere doing something quietly and you may not really know. Okay, but when you look a little bit further than just the PMs, you may have to identify some of the hotspots. So we may have to look at supporting that aspect, and then also, so that may be what I will call the limitations with this one. All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. There's another hand here. I think we picked PM 2.5 mainly because of the size and the traveling to the lungs and bloodstream. And I think it's always a good starting point. Now we're doing some work with KEBA. There's a colleague there, KEBA, which is looking at transport, emissions specific from transport. So in transport, when you're looking at that one, 2.5, PM 2.5 alone is not enough, but it calls for looking at other gases. So I think there was always the need to get an entry point. Now that we are getting attention, people are beginning to pay attention to it. Like Doc was telling me about some other gas, which is alien to my vocabs, but it's a learning point, you know. So let's start from somewhere and then we can build on from there. Yeah, yes, please.
So, Doc, thank you very much. I love the fact that I came here for this workshop. One thing that throughout the discussion, I think I learned, and to me is a limitation, that when we put measures in, we'll be able to improve the air quality. Is Afri-SET is coming up, or has already come up with this lone sensor policy thing, but the limitation is how many to serve the entire West Africa. And my colleague from the other country was saying that just recently they were able to install 12 of them, and they are collaboration for another more installation, let me put it that way. So the question still remains, how many? So if you look at us here, most of us here, we kind of have money to buy what they call cameras to install in our factories and our houses just to monitor what is happening. But can't we also prioritize this? Probably donate equal equivalence amount to institutions that are capable to recommend the appropriate sensors, or probably we buying it ourselves and seek assistance and install it at the vantage point that will also feed into the national data. Because data, we are saying that we have enough data, but every day things are happening and we need to continue generating more data to make informed decisions. So that's what I think.
All right, thank you very much. And there's another hand behind you. This Prof. Amaga in UCC, I think on his program, one of the things that he's trying to do is to work with corporate bodies for them to adopt a space. So like banks, but banks can purchase a sensor and put it in, or a hotel can put. We should bear in mind that all those kind of advocacy work comes on the back of the information that we have. The more we become aware, build that awareness. That is how people may say, look, I think maybe it's better I monitor the air in my house or in my hotel or so. Our friend from Liberia, there was also the journalist program, New Narratives. They brought a journalist from Liberia, and the guy went back and did a story. And we know that EPA in Liberia also started some stuff. So when people become aware, it is likely that they will act. That's what we are looking for. And that is what ultimately, if everybody goes and we are doing our bits in our corners, we hope that we will be seeing. Yes, sir.
All right. My name again is Pascal from UESD Somenia. So what I think is one of the limitations is the data from the local census. Yes, you can bring it to Afri-SET for the calibration to be done, and maybe when you send it back to your locality where you are going to use it, excessive wind from say Amatan can still affect the data in the local sensor. If your sensor is exposed to excessive wind, or maybe you are drenched in rain, then water gets into your sensor. I think it can still affect the data, can still give you wrong data. And another one is on the issue of security or theft. So I am mapping air quality in Somenia, a peri-urban area in the eastern region, Ghana. And when I wanted to mount my sensor from Open IQ Air, I was thinking I wanted to mount it near a market. And I'm thinking if I put this here, it's a stationary sensor, and I leave, nobody is there to watch over it. Somebody can just come and approve this and send it away. Yes, so it's not an issue. So I had to go and mount it on Ilo Krobo Senior High School campus with permission from their headmaster. And when I was even mounting it, the students and the teachers were asking whether it's a Wi-Fi or what. So I had to explain things to them, and I'm still thinking of getting a brief description of the sensor to go and put it on the pool so that people can just see, read it, and know that's what it is.
Thank you. I wasn't here when they were teaching about the mountain and but you have to develop a criteria, and security considerations are part of it. In one of our projects, they mounted a sensor as 37 military hospital area here in Accra. So it's a military hospital. And then at one point, there was no data coming from that point. And so when the project lead went to do the inquiries, national security had gone to remove it because they didn't know what it was. But there was a lesson for us. Same way that you have a solution to go to your local robot to go and mount it. The solution that we realized was that there should have been prior consultation with all the stakeholders, including national security, before you mount it. So there are lessons in these things, and I think it's good that it comes up. So we will take one more from here, and then we will go to the last topic because we have only 5 minutes. So
this one, let me just make a comment to this. I think that please, I will urge you to visit our YouTube channel. We've done all of these and placed them there. Our very first workshop, we took people through how to deploy sensors, how to make sure the sensors is deployed in such a way that you are actually measuring what it is to measure. All right? So that one was not a data analysis training. So we have those resources on our website, on our social media, YouTube channel. Okay? And then, as Desmond rightly said, there are criteria for which you want to mount your sensors. What do you want to measure? If you take your sensor and put it in the source, what are you trying to measure? You want to see the impact on human lives. So how is the emissions from that source impacting a community, impacting a residential area? And so wind speed, wind direction, all these things you have to take into consideration. So we have built resources. It's available on our website. And I think I've done this presentation also for the KNUST at the annual school. So those resources are also available. I mentioned in my opening remarks that this sensor is just not plug and play. All right, you must understand how they operate. Otherwise, your sensors will be there, and you are not recording what it should record. So just for the person in Sierra Leone who just mentioned that he had 12 sensors. Yes, those sensors, were first sent to Afri-SET, where we co-located them for, I think, almost 6 months before we shipped them to Sierra Leone. So there's a C40 project. Yeah, so those who want the C40 project is using a particular manufacturer whose sensors we have already evaluated. And so they wanted us to evaluate the sensors before it was sent to Sierra Leone. So we did that, and then we had it shipped to Freetown. So that's how come you have those sensors there. It's for a C40 project. And I think there's another call by C40 now for a few other countries. So if you look at the call, maybe some of you could apply it. All right? And then get grants for a few countries. I forgot the countries now. Okay. So thank you.
All right. So I have there's our friend here, and then
my name is Alasan Afri-SET. Mine is just appeal. The 3 communities that we did the exercise, we collect the data. If you look at the 3 communities in Old Fadama, it's very high. The risk is very high. But looking at the area and looking at what is happening in the area, we have about 2,000 food vendors. And these food vendors, all of them use firewood to cook their food and sell. Because in this area, nobody cook food in their house. Everybody buy food. So we're having a lot of more food vendors in the community. So that is also making the area very high or very risky in terms of the air quality. And apart from that, in the scrap dealers in that particular site, there are more than 6,000 people doing the business, but about maybe 100 or 150 people normal burning these kind of things. So how can we, because in terms of education, we have already started educating them about all these things. But sometimes you go there, they will ask you, so if I don't do this, how can I chop? So we need enforcement, especially the, what do you call it, the environmental protection agency. We need enforcement, and you people have to help us to do all these things. But even though the food vendors, if they can be able to educate them very well, they will be able to switch from the wooden side to other side that they can do, so that the community, because sometimes you go to the you sick and you go to hospital, and the doctor say that, stop smoking. Meanwhile, you have never smoke. Even the pregnant ladies, they will go to hospital and the doctor say that, you are pregnant, why are you smoking? Maybe, and they are not doing that. So because of the risky of this particular banning, so we want, I am appealing to you to help us in terms of all these things, so that, because in terms of the education we have been doing it, but people take it without utilizing it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I think this is a common problem. So, and it leads us into the final topic that, and we will take only 3 points here about policy relevance. So, as for this one, I would like our colleagues from LAMATA, you're going out? Okay. From LAMATA and Dakar, you've talked to us about how you have gone about the work and leading to the policy aspect. If you could share just in a minute how you think all this work, that the learnings that we are doing, collecting the data, putting the data in the state that can be used by policymakers, how you would suggest that we can make the work that we are going to be doing, or we are doing, policy relevant. So if you can give to you.
Thank you very much, Edward. For the Senegal, we are academic and we have different type of meeting, and we build different kind of flyers with specific information based on which type of audience we have. And from that, we were able to reach any kind of people in the country. Even if you don't go to the school, you will be able to know which kind of information we want to drive from the flyers. And at this level, it was well spread in the countries that there is some data, some relevant data, which can be used for something. And we have what we call a theatrical troupe, which always give information related to air pollution before we start an official ceremony. Always, they are students, they are at the university, and they always have the chance to be invited for official ceremony to give some information or advisement about air quality, or about the let's say advocacy in different type of environmental media. That's the first thing we did, and we polluted all the audience about air pollution, about existing data. And as we have the chance that the Ministry of Environmental, he is professor at the university, he asked us to build what we call a testament document related to air pollution for the last 10 years. And we have wrote this book and send it to him, and he sent it to the government, to the parliament, and all people start talking about air pollution. we start from there.
Okay. Thank you very, very much. I think we'll hear from our brother from Lagos, and then I'll use a minute to just wrap up, and then hand over to, is it Côte d'Ivoire? Oh, after you, Côte d'Ivoire. Who is from Côte d'Ivoire? Ah, mon ami. I enjoyed Côte d'Ivoire last year, so you have to talk. Yeah. Yes, how to move it to policy, like the work that we are doing, because you have shown how your work went to the policy side. So your experience, how you did.
Okay. In Lagos, based on what we do, we when we gather this readings and information, we use it as evidence to propose for the kind of policies that should be implemented, so that we will reduce emission and especially on the air quality side and the GHG side as well. So basically, since we're a transport authority, we'll work with the environmental authority as well. So we work hand in hand, and when we are crossing, like when we do things out of transportation and is getting into energy and waste and stuff, we consult with the environmental agency, and but in the long run, we gather all this information and data and the models and everything. We use them to get evidence-based information to actually define policies that would make the environment better for all.
Thank you very much. So our brother from Côte d'Ivoire will talk, and then.
Thank you. My name is Ibrahim Savado. Honestly, I'm not under policy help because of my background is related to data scientist. Like, I got a MSc from WASCAL program, informatics for climate change. So this question may be little bit.
No, don't talk on this question.
Yeah.
Just the whole experience, because you haven't spoken. We need to make sure you spoke before you leave.
Okay. What I wanted to highlight is is what we are doing now, getting data, collecting data, and analyzing them is good. And at the end of the day, the purpose of that one is, to raise awareness. What I want to add is we have to make sure that people those data analysis are able to share what they will get from those data, how to be sure or how to make sure that people, those who are not under those kind of work, like those data analysis or those kind of collecting data, how to make sure that they will understand well the work that we want to do and the purpose that we want to make. This is what I want to add.
Okay. Thank you very much. It's a good thing, because if he did not speak, we would think he got lost, and we will not accept that. There's one last comment.
Thank you very much. I want to comment on the submission of our colleague here, and probably that will be in line with how to implement our policies. They did the work at 3 different places with different activities, and the highest recording pollutant occurred in where they were burning Abu Ghushi area, where they were burning this thing. But then there was an area where they also burn charcoal or produce charcoal. So it means that we can move from, like we say, you may not understand, a lot of you, we say in Chi that
it means if you brush your teeth all of a sudden with pressure, it's blood that would come.
In other words, when you have a bad teeth, a rotten teeth, and you decide to once just once you want to make it white, of course there will be bruises and then blood will come. So I'm thinking that we can move from implementing our policies. We can move from we can go through stages, like where Abobrishi is doing open burning, and it is giving us that high pollution. We can try to imitate what the charcoal burners are doing. They are not doing open burning. They dig and then they burn their racing. But then they look for that material, the wires, and that is why they burn that thing. So if they can also do that kind of burning, because we can't stop them. It's just like the Galamsey thing. We cannot stop them because that is the way they also live. The stomach would always be, asking them for food. So they have to work. But then how do we then move from where they are destroying so much to where they can soften the thing? And I think in implementing our policies, it's not like go and catch them. It will never work. You catch them, they will come back. So I'm thinking that we move in stages where we reduce the pollution by trying to implementing a softer way of, producing the pollutants. And gradually, hopefully, we can do away with it in the near future.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And if you recall, I mentioned that Madam will be back shortly. So she's back. We should clap for her. Okay. So I know that Dr. Cosmos wanted to say something on this. But
Dr. Amankwa, we don't even need them to use charcoal. We don't need them to use charcoal because charcoal is giving them a lot of health issues. We want them to use clean energy. Okay? So it's also they are burning down the forest and those things. So let's help to find clean solutions so that our sisters, our mothers, our daughters will not inhale these emissions when they are over the coal pot. All right. So for me,
okay. So I think Madam will say something and then we will conclude.
Okay, with the charcoal, even that method is not a sustainable way of doing it because, like he's saying, it also has its own environmental issues. But with the burning, one of the interventions that is being put in place is to get collection centers. And then for them, instead of burning, they are being encouraged to send the material to the collection centers and they get paid for. So that those materials will be given to recycling companies that have proper systems in place to do the recycling. So currently, that is what is being promoted. But it's the same attitudinal changes. Understand, one of the collection centers is at Agboglosi. So don't burn, just take the material. They will pay you. But people want to. So it's a matter of continuous awareness creation to get people to understand. Because they know the impact. Some of them, they know. When you talk to them, they know. And some engagement that was done with them, they know. When they fall sick, they go back to their villages and then they don't come back. So they know that it's killing them. But it's the same for whatever reason. But if there are sustainable ways of doing that, let's rather encourage them to use the sustainable ways of doing, like the collection centers for the materials to be recycled by companies that have the systems in place.
In my previous life, I worked on e-waste. And that's part of what led to the current system of having buyback centers. It's part of that. And this challenge, I don't think is a Ghana challenge alone. But the Francophone guys do much better than the Anglophone guys. Adoption of new solutions. Better solutions. Thank you very much. Because there's a whole buyback center at Agboglosi where the burning takes place, for those of you who don't know, where the burning takes place. A clinic was put up there. A football pitch part of the place that they do the burning was turned into a football pitch because there was the need to create other forms of engagement. There was a group called GASDA. They are the association of these informal guys. All those things, the people were not taking advantage. There was a whole green initiative for machine for stripping wires put in there. And the advantage of that was that you strip the wires there, you get the plastic covering of the wires, and that could also be used for something else. So it is not a lack of interventions. There is the challenge of politics creeping into everything that we do that is whole kind of impacting our hand from actually ensuring that people do that. So that is one of the things we need to pay attention to. Secondly, and because of some of the things that Dr. Cosmos had raised earlier about awareness, health effects, if you do, you monitor without linking it to the health implications. And in effect, the economic implications, people don't tend to pay attention. One of the things we've been pushing for, Clean Air Fund in Ghana, since we started, was making an economic case why air pollution, government should pay attention to it. A project has just been completed by UNDP and the results will be coming up soon. But we know the numbers, what is costing us, outdoor air pollution, indoor air pollution, and the rest. The last one is all our countries have signed protocols to show that we are interested in doing things to improve public health. And that is part of the opportunity I think we should be riding on to push the political commitment and, in effect, the policy commitments. When I used to work in climate, I was always concerned about making the case for climate change because we think it's too far away. You know, it will affect somebody else. If it's flood, it will be somebody else and all that. So the air quality angle was really interesting to me because that one, it affects us as individuals. If you have asthma and you are in a place where there's pollution, you will be impacted straight away. You know, so this argument has been a good argument to make. And I'm glad Lagos is showing the greenhouse gas impacts. Dakar is also showing it. I think in our various countries, we should be pushing that argument that we are improving the quality of air, there's benefits, and then there's benefits on the climate aspect. Last couple of weeks, I was interviewed by a TV station where I criticized government that in Ghana, we've just imported 300 buses. And I understand tomorrow, the vice president will go and inaugurate the first 100, and it comes out to work. My point of criticism was that it was an opportunity for us to buy which kind of buses? They are diesel buses. Yes, they are. Last 2024, the country said we're buying electric buses, 100. 10 came, and we haven't heard. Then beginning of this year, pressure on transport systems, government is going to buy buses, and they've gone to buy diesel buses. Now, these are the trigger points that, where's our journalist friend? Because all they are reporting is that government has bought buses. Why are they not saying that there was an opportunity for e-buses, which will still move the people and not create the pollution? That is a talking point that I think all of us, you know, development we are going to have to do anyway. It is the tools that we, or the line that we go on that path to the development, which is where the opportunity is for us to make an impact. So I think for policy relevance, part of the work that we are all doing, it's helpful because we can be able to help to tie it in to say what you're going to do. These are the things that you have to do. Please, you can just ask AI right now. You know, before the media people came to my office, I did the research. I called people. I said, this thing, I'm going to talk about it, but I want to be very sure. Then I went to look at the news article when the deputy minister announced that they've ordered 300 buses. They have arrived. They never mentioned electric. So I went to AI. And like Albert said, it's garbage in, garbage out, isn't it? Then I asked AI, The buses recently imported by government, are they diesel or electric? And then it says diesel. Diesel. Now, how can we in this day and age, promoting a modern city, rather coming to Putin? And also, this is one of my points that my sister will get angry with me, that even EPA recently received so many pickups, and Energy Commission, Energy Ministry. So my question was, if government makes a policy to say, because we have all these commitments, the next set of vehicles, or we want to go 20% or 30% electric, as a government policy, then we can be moving towards it over time. So food for thought. When I have money to buy a car next time, what kind of car should I buy? All right. Thank you very much.
You know, there is no anger in this. Facts are facts. We are here talking about air pollution. And I don't know why my brother thinks that I will be angry when the facts are there. But on the lighter note, I want to say he said he worked with e-waste in the past. And I'm sure he's been exposed to pollution from e-waste. So I think you need to go and check.
I think I'll go with you.
All right. Thank you.
Dr. Hughes to come and give us the closing remarks. And then we go for lunch and do more networking before we finish.
All too soon, this workshop has come to an end. We hope that it could have continued, but then I believe that we have been able to learn a lot, and as we go out from here, I believe that we have been able to impart some new knowledge, and some who had the knowledge, we've been able to upgrade it. And so we look forward to how you are going to use the knowledge that and the computational skills that you have gained in this workshop. We could have spent a whole month on this training, but I believe that this is a start. And as Michael said, we have a WhatsApp group. I think that that group can be very effective in reaching out to you wheresoever you find yourself. If you have any challenge, we monitor that group very well. So if you have some data you are plotting and you want to, you reach at the point where you think you need some help, I mean, we are just a message away from you. You have our emails also. Just reach out and we will be able to help you with your issues concerning data analysis and visualization. And all the slides will be put into a particular format and share with all the participants. The recordings for this workshop will also be put on YouTube, on our Afri-SET YouTube channel, and on our webpage, so that if you forgot anything, you can go back, play it, and then be able to get to understand where you maybe what you did not understand. So please, it's important that we continue the conversation, but this time using all the other platforms that we have. We are happy that we had participants this year from, a lot of countries in West Africa. I'll start off with Ghana, Togo, the Gambia, Liberia, Senegal, Cote d'Ivoire, Nigeria, and Sierra Leone. I believe that with all the representation from these countries, we should be able to become ambassadors of air quality wherever we find ourselves. And let us continue to create the awareness, in our churches, in our mosques, in our villages, in our communities, in our home, so that people are aware that there is some things that we cannot see with our eyes, but they have serious impact on our lives. And they can shorten our lives and also destroy artifacts and other things. Also, they have effect on the plants and also the animals. So let us spread the words that as much as possible, we should protect ourselves. Usually in Accra, the Ghana EPA, our partners and collaborators, share the AQI, Air Quality Index. Let us also go to the EPA website for those of us in Ghana and like it so that we get to know the quality of air, every day, that we can protect ourselves. If the air quality index is high, the best thing to do is to, wear a face mask if you are going to stay out for a long time. Okay? So wearing a face mask can at least prevent you from, breathing in this very harmful particulate matter. Or if the air quality index is so high, then we restrict the times we have to spend outside in the open. And this is especially for the vulnerable groups, the elderly, the very young, and those who have underlying health diseases. So let us spread the word and let us help to protect lives. We are so grateful for you spending your quality time that could have been spent on other things here with us over the last 4 days. I believe we all deserve a big round of applause. Yes. You have been a very active, participants, asking all the questions and even coming up with some solutions. We want to give a big thank you to all our facilitators. I believe that you have been able to, share knowledge with all of us. And as we go back, we will be able to use those codes that we share, use the various tools, and be able to, try our hands. We've been directed to where we can get free data. Let us try, because the saying is what? Practice makes perfect. So if you leave from here and you don't go back to try these things, then it will not be of any use. We thank the facilitators who have come from all parts of this country and also from outside of this country. We are so grateful for your time and so grateful for all that you have done. We also want to extend our thanks and appreciation to, our funders. The Clean Air Fund have been so good to fund this workshop over the last 3 years. And say 3 years. Yeah, we started off 2023, 2024, 2025, and yeah. So this year. So the 3 years. It all started in Kigali where it was launched, and then we came here 2024. We did the 2025 and this 2026. So I want you to look out for. Yeah, I think we should clap for Clean Air Fund. Yeah. Yeah. So look out for our next workshop. But I think now that you are being equipped, when we are inviting you, we want you to come and give us the impact as the country lead for Clean Air Fund, Mr. Apia, mentioned. We want to see the impact. What have you done with the knowledge that you gather from here? Even if it is just getting some data, plotting, come, we'll give you the space to show us like we did for some of the others. We are also available for some who have sensors. Come and we can co-locate your sensors and help you to do your calibration. Okay? So reach out also. We've told you how some was able to, from this workshop, they reach out to manufacturers and some of them got some sensors to use. We've also brought one of our local manufacturer to take us through how they design their sensors. And I believe that they have started a journey. And we hope that not too long from this, we'll see the sensors all over the country and even beyond. We also have another manufacturer from Nigeria, the Mary. We hope that you have seen what is done here. We have your sensors. We are evaluating them. And we hope to also see your sensors being spread across West Africa. And I challenge a lot of our young folks here. Most of you are into the Internet of Things. It is easy to get some of these components and try your hands at putting out your own sensors. Most of the components are just on the market. All right, the Arduino boards, the breadboards, the plant tower. These are all things you can get your hands on. And then, who knows? The guys who brought the purple air from MIT, they were very young people. 2 young people or 3 got together. Today, they are multi-millionaires because of just putting the ideas together. There are a lot of you who have the ability to also create, apps to churn out some of these data so that you can create awareness. All right? You also have, a lot of you are into modeling and data. Create awareness. You are also into artificial intelligence. Dr. Amankwa talked about making videos. These days, I have seen people within a matter of 5 minutes made some very good videos. Animations. They are all tools that can educate, our young folks and even the older ones on the issue of air quality. So come out, put yourself together, and let's get some of you to come here the next time we meet and show us what you have done. And we'll give you the platform. To our major collaborator and the regulatory body for air quality and in Ghana, the Environmental Protection Authority. We want to say a big thank you for how far we have gone with this partnership. For most of you, you may not know that the reference monitor that we are using is courtesy of the Environmental Protection Agency. So let's give it up to the EPA. Yes. And those reference monitors, they have one at the University of Ghana campus and one in Adabraka. It takes a lot of money to maintain them. And I think they have been doing a very fantastic job to keep these monitors running. And so we are very appreciative to them. And anytime we reach out to them, they are always open to receive us, to receive suggestions. And so together we can be able to mitigate the poor air quality we have in the country. I remember once when some newspaper had written that Accra was the most polluted city in the world, and how we had to work, to get out the right information, because we had reference monitors in the country, but unfortunately the news media was using information from a local sensor, and that local sensor was overestimating the regulatory grade monitor. And so you see why it's important to have Afri-SET, because there was fear and panic. There was fear and panic, but we were able to show them the data from the reference monitor and told them that, yes, this is as a result of a natural phenomenon. That is the harmattan. There's nothing we can do to prevent the harmattan dust. All we can do is that we can be able to protect ourselves when we are going out. Wear face masks. Don't spend much time outside. And I think over the period when the Clean Air Fund also came in to train journalists, I think now we don't get this kind of sensational headlines. So I think we have made some progress. So finally, I would like to say a big thank you again to all those who made this workshop a success, the staff and the team from Afri-SET. We have interns, we have national service persons, we have a lot of people who had even passed through Afri-SET being able to come in to help us organize this. To the University of Ghana, we are very thankful for the opportunity to have Afri-SET in the Department of Physics. On the first day, we had our Dean for the School of Physical and Mathematical Science coming to open this program. We are grateful to the school and to the College of Basic and Applied Sciences, where the Department of Physics sits. We are also grateful also to the media. You have been here with us from the very beginning. To those who are in charge of the live streaming. To our online participants, you have also been very, very active with us. And we hope that you will join us next time we have any activities. We'll publicize it. We do organize webinars. We do organize workshops and conferences. And so please look out for this information on our pages. We share a lot of information on our page, even information concerning other workshops that people can go and apply to be a participants, because we are part of a larger network. And so any opportunity we see, we share it with others on our page. So we want to say a big thank you, and I know I'm standing between you and lunch and closing, But I want to say that yes, lunch is about to be served, but we also have souvenirs for you from Afri-SET. So as you take your lunch, we'll give you souvenirs to remember this workshop. And I think we started off with a group photo. Some were not here at the opening. So as we go down, we all will gather again and take another photo so that those who could not be part of the first one will be part of this one. So I cannot leave without thanking our, how do you call them, MC or moderators. You have been so fantastic. So I think we can give a hands up to them. You have been fantastic. And thank you for taking us through all these days. And may God bless you. And may God bless all of you and take you back safely to your various homes, offices, and where you come from. And we hope to see you again at our next workshop, which we will let you know when and where it will be held. As I told you, we are starting Afri-SET South. So this is Afri-SET West. So the next Afri-SET is starting in South Africa. And so we are still in discussion as to whether we will have the next workshop here or in South Africa. So we will keep you informed. Or maybe South Africa will come here. But we will have another workshop, I can assure you. Have a good day. God bless you.
Thank you very much. Please don't leave anything behind because we are not coming back here. The workshop is officially closed, but your lunch is there. So please let's go and enjoy our lunch and do a bit of networking, exchange contacts, and still communicate, make friends. The next time we meet for Afri-SET workshop, we'll be seeing faces we've met this year, and then we can share what we've done. If it's a year, we share what we've done throughout the year with our colleagues. Thank you very much. And safe journey to all those who are traveling back. Our online participants, thank you very much. And we say goodbye to you too. Hope to meet at the next Afri-SET workshop. Thank you.